Good night, y'all. I logged in and logged off. No, I'm just joking. How are you guys on this wonderful Monday evening? What you guys up to? Oh, you guys are doing, hey, Music City Mom. Hey, Napa Valley Girl. Napa Valley Girl, I have not looked. I probably should look, huh? Hey, Am. Hey, Lori. How are you guys? Sorry, this is way past my normal time. I know that I promised you guys I'd be back today to do this. Hey, Liz H. So I'm back. If I cut out or have to stop, just please understand, like, first and foremost, I'm kind of feeling a little crappy today. My POTS is kicking my ass, so we're sitting, my camera is going to be off. I finally was able to shower. I have to be supervised now when I shower again. A couple weeks out of the year, I do real shitty with heat intolerance, and we're just in that stage. So please bear with me. We're going to try to get through as much as this as possible. Oh, Andy, I'm really sorry. Hey, Sheila, Andy, Kathy, Teresa. Is it Teresa? I always say that wrong, I'm sure. All right, we're going to get through this. Hopefully, it'll be a small group of us so we can chat while we do this. Okay, looking right. Oh, Napa Valley girl. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, gotcha. Interesting. Huh. I think, yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Okay. Hey, Lily. Hey, Sparrow. Oh, I'm fine, y'all. I'm fine. Hey, TM. Okay, we're going to get into this. We're not going to waste much time. I'm going to play my quick intro and get going, and then we will get through this as much as possible. I was going to be brave and review Betty reviewing this and do a double whammy of debunking of the both of them at the same time, but she's a little much for me to handle, and I don't know if I have the patience for that. Plus, her stream going over this was 4 freaking hours, and I don't have the patience for that. I'm with y'all. I can barely handle her either. She grinds my gears. All right. Let me say hi to the rest of you that popped in. The Deflectionist, Smiles, Nicole B, Juju B, Fiddle Dee Dee, Cherokee Girl, X, Sheila, right? I know. I won't torture you guys. I do enough of that. Emerald Skies, Kathy ain't got no time for BS. I have supervision too. I know, Day Tripper. It's the first year we've been in Arizona at the beginning of the heat wave, and I need to get back on my infusions, but I just haven't done that yet, and I don't have time for that right now. But I need to get done. Oh, that would be good. Yeah, yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you. Hey, Miss Britt. Hey, Wacky Tacky, Creepy Girl. All right, we're gonna do this. Like you heard, I have supervision. I'm being monitored. This is the most painstaking part of this whole process is because between the dogs, the dog sits there and watches everything I do, every movement I make. Don't let her out here though, because it's so hot. And then Kenzie and Kyle get on high alert and they like won't let me out of their sight. It gets to be ridiculous. Anyways, hey, the real Seth Rogers, Shally. Okay, let's get going on this. This is all under fair use. This is based on my opinion only. I do have this article pulled up because we're going to be referencing some of this article. So if you want to follow along, this is the article I'm going to be going back to because there's some pieces of this that are explained in this news article from WKRN from March 15th. It was updated March 16th, so we will be going there too. But we're going to start right here with JLR. So again, all under fair use. This is for educational purposes based on misinformation that they put out here publicly. Let's go.
Hello. JLR Investigates. Come on in, everyone. Continuous coverage of the Sebastian Rogers case.
And this just happens to be Kyle's favorite person that I ever talk about. Oh, before I start, maybe I should pull that up. Did everybody see my community post about this neighbor before we get started? So in part 3, when we reviewed Terry Lynn's interview with Seth Rogers, the 5-hour segment, it's in part 3. But in part 3, I showed you guys they were advertising and promoting a Facebook group that was started on February 27th, 2024. This neighbor, quote unquote, is also associated with Terry Lynn. She is also an admin of this Facebook group. Now, this is the Facebook group that Seth Rogers and Terry Lynn were promoting. This neighbor, Bobby, is 100% an admin for the local group on Facebook, I guess is what you would best way to call it. It's called Finding Sebastian Rogers, No Speculation or Theories. It's a private group, got 10.4K members. So she is an admin for the group that Seth and Terry Lynn were promoting way back in March. She's been around. She's been involved in all this stuff. Somebody came in my comments and tried to correct me and said, no, she's an admin for their neighborhood Facebook group. That could be possible that she's an admin for the Facebook group, but she's also an admin for this Sebastian Rogers group, the Finding Sebastian Rogers, No Speculation or Theories. And that's the group that Seth himself was promoting. It was created on February 27th, again, just to put things into perspective. So I find it really ironic that one of the admins from his group that he promotes, it's not his, of course, but the group he's associated with that has local people in it that promote that group, that's the one Seth and Terry were promoting. I clicked on it. You can see it all in part 3. I walk through, I highlight each of the admins' profiles. But if you need to go look at that yourself, you can walk it through and it goes right to her profile. I even warned her to lock her profile down because, she's admins for both. Yep. Yeah, we're going to get into that. Hey, everybody. Of course he's wearing merch. He always wears his own merch. Yes, they supposedly went to high school together. Yes. Yep. Okay, let's get into this. But just so you guys know, I find it really ironic with all of the things that Seth's PR man, Tony, has been saying about JLR recently, that now all of a sudden Seth came out, went on BJ's, created a shitstorm, said a whole bunch of stuff. Tony's had a few weird things happening with him. And then we've got one of their admins doing an interview with JLR way after the fact. But I also think this is the neighbor that's been in contact with JLR and giving people inside information all along. It's just too many movements, too much odd timing. Everything is weird with it per usual. All right, let's go.
I'm going to bring in Miss Bobby, who is a neighbor of the Proudfoots. I'm going to bring her right in right now. We're going to talk.
The term neighbor should be used very loosely in this. Yes, she lives in the vicinity, but she is not a neighbor as in like next door, down the street, anything. She's a ways away.
To a neighbor of Christopher and Katie Proudfoot.
Hey, everybody.
So she pops in. There she is. Welcome aboard, Miss Bobby. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming on JLR Investigates. A lot of people are in the chat because no one ever really heard from a neighbor, Miss Bobby.
It's funny because this neighbor has been posting in these Facebook groups for quite some time. Shocking. And it just so happens to be that JLR had his little Facebook group that he runs to, the mysterious disappearance of Sebastian Rogers. He just had that group previously and just switched the name of it too. Interesting. And by the way, this woman, you can 100% do exactly like I told you. Go to the Facebook group. You don't even have to be a member of it. Look at the members. It'll show you the admins right there. You can click on the admin profile. It'll take you right directly to their Facebook profiles. It'll show you exactly who she is and verify if you need to do that. If you need me to show you how to do it, we can. But I also did it in part 3.
Now you're gonna make me want to run.
Yeah. Napa Valley girl.
Yeah. Well, I've kind of kept myself. We're all kind of hidden.
Yeah, I mean, you're active in the Sebastian groups. You do talk, you do share, you share a lot of insight. You've been there from day one, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I was in your group from day one. I was in another group from, well, not really even. Honestly, day one was such a trauma, just dramatic day that I don't even think the only thing I was in on day one was our neighborhood group, because that's where Katie had first commented about him being gone. So no, actually I wasn't in any Facebook groups day one. It was such a crazy moment. So probably.
Yeah, when you say Katie commented, what do you mean by that? She joined a neighborhood group?
Well, so I'm an admin of our private neighborhood group, and she created a post, I want to say around, 7:30 maybe-ish, 7:30 that morning, Monday morning, simply just saying, my son is missing, and kind of commented on a little bit about him. Like, I think she made the comment about how tall he was, and that he was autistic and he was missing. Please check your cameras.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look back to see what Miss Bobby here posted on the very first day that Sebastian went missing. So on February 26th, from Miss Bobby's Facebook page, her Facebook page that is linked to her being an admin in the group that was set up for Sebastian Rogers the day after he went missing. On February 26th, she said, "Everyone around Long Hollow Pike, we need your help. My neighbor just posted this on our neighborhood page. Please help. We are in Victoria Place." This, remember what she just said that Katie posted, right? So this is what the actual post was, according to her post. "Emergency, please, if anyone has a camera, please check it between midnight and 6. My son is missing. Please, if you can check anything that might help find him. He's 5'5", blonde hair, autistic male. I've made it public so you can share. He is autistic and got out early this morning while mom was asleep." That was her first post on February 26th. But as you go back and look, hold on just a moment here. She goes on to post. She says, "An emergency alert just went out to cell phones in the area. Please share." And then it says, "Missing 15-year-old autistic, white male, last seen Stafford Court, close to Beach High School, named Sebastian, black sweatsuit. If you have any information, call dispatch." That was also on February 26th. Then she goes on. Some other neighbors in the area had posted too. She goes on to say, "They have still not found him and no updates. I keep asking officers when I see them and still nothing. This is crazy and scary. At this time, the family needs a lot of prayers and a miracle. I just spoke to state troopers. There have been no sightings of him. No one's camera picked him up. Nothing." Again, February 26th. Okay, so that was the initial day. All right. Let's let her continue.
It was just like a 2-liner, just real quick, shooting it out there.
So maybe an hour and a half, hour something after she and Chris that we found out that they called and reported Sebastian missing.
Correct. It was, yes, because I think that from what I understood, she called around.
And by the way, as of last night, all these posts were on her profile on Facebook.
Around 6:30 that morning, I think. Was it about 6:30? I think is.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it was. And I think from what another neighbor said, that she actually caught her SUV leaving the neighborhood right before that, or right after that. And so it was, she did all that and then came back, and then I guess that's when she put it on the Facebook page. But I also remember what I thought was very odd was shortly before that, another neighbor. So if their house is here, if you're going up Stafford, a little bit farther up Stafford.
Janice, Kyle said the exact same thing. Somebody else did too in the comments up above.
Was actually the first one to ask, hey, what's all going on in the neighborhood? Because my older son left to go to work that morning, approximately 8 o'clock. And there was already police all up and down Stafford, like just covering it. And they were already out walking around and stuff. And
well, yeah, if you listen to the dispatch audio, you can follow along. Again, Jessica Danielle did an incredible breakdown of the dispatch audio. I can link that too if you guys need that.
So I don't know. I guess she saw some of that traffic as she was leaving to go to work, and she posted first on the Facebook page. And then Katie, after that, is when she posted, and I went back to find that, and that previous neighbor deleted her post.
What about Katie's post?
I don't know. No, the original post, the first post.
Yeah. It's no longer
the neighbor,
there.
It's gone. She had to have deleted it because you can't, if you're not the creator of the post, you can't delete someone else's post. They have to delete it. But when I went back a couple weeks after everything happened and things kind of calmed down a little bit, I was talking to somebody else and I was like, I remember, didn't such and such make the post first? And this is a neighbor down the street from me. And she said, yeah, I remember that. And I was like, I wonder what the time frame was different. And I went back to look and it was gone. So the original neighbor that very first posted asking what was all the commotion.
Sorry, if it gets too fast for you guys, let me know. I'm going to turn closed captioning on, but I can't handle this. We're going to speed it up.
Going on. And I still wonder if that's why Katie posted that. But then Chris, it was like 2 or 3 neighbors after. So Katie posted her comment or her post. And then several people commented after. I didn't see anything. She was asking, like, everybody check their cameras. I didn't see anything. And then Chris posted underneath that and simply said something like, yeah, my son's missing. That was it.
Oh. So what did it say, like, where the post was originating from, or was Chris around the neighborhood by then?
Okay, so I have twins, and when we first heard about everything, they jumped up and went running out of the house and went across the street down to where they live, and they walked over because they wanted to be a part of helping, look for him.
Okay, that's not what he asked. He asked where the post was originating from. Again, you guys are getting hung up on stupid shit, but okay.
And they went over there, and Chris was not there yet. So Seth was in there 8:30.
8:30, okay.
8:20-ish. Yeah, because my oldest son had already left for work. He left about 8. Then my twins, when I got the phone call from the neighbor.
You would think she would have had a conversation with Seth before she came live to, make sure she had the details correct, since she admins for the group that they promoted anyways.
We're very nearby them. That is a good friend of mine. About 8:15, 8:20 that morning, asking if I had heard.
Everything is secondhand knowledge. A friend of mine that lives down the street or around the corner, or a friend, blah, blah, blah.
What happened. And I had not yet, because I hadn't gotten going for that yet. And then when my son texted me, I didn't answer. So he called my other boy's phone and asked them, hey, do y'all see what's going on? And they came around my room and said, hey, Mom, did you hear what happened? I was like, wait, what? What's going on? My phone's ringing. You guys are running in here. Like, what is happening here? And my neighbor was on the phone calling me. And so as soon as I heard the neighbor tell me the story, what happened, they went running out the door and went over there to kind of help, with the search and stuff. And they said that they saw Seth and Katie in the front yard and of course they didn't know the names back then. They just knew, like, now that they've seen pictures, they go back and say, yeah, it was Seth.
So they didn't recognize them. They didn't know any of these people at first. Didn't have a clue who they were, but now that they've seen photos of them, they can recognize them. Okay.
And Katie and Kathy Bowersox and a bunch of other police, law enforcement and stuff like that. But Chris was not there yet.
Okay. Well, thank you for acknowledging that he was not there.
Interesting.
Well, he wasn't there then.
Now, where do you live relative to the Proudfoots?
I live at the very top of the hill on Kellen.
So the next street, the street that turns into Stafford.
Over the river and through the woods to Bobby's house we go, where she can't see shit from her back door, but she's got so much information to throw.
Street.
Main Street coming in. So just basically what you're now going back to Katie, like what you know or what you heard. When was Katie driving around in her SUV, like a time frame?
This would have been Monday morning. I'm not sure how old her kids are, but yeah, it would have been a Monday morning school time. So I'm not really sure.
Like when do you think she was driving around in her SUV looking for passion, like she claims?
Right. So there's so many different things here because the neighbor that I actually spoke with, that I'm friends.
The neighbor that I actually spoke with, that I'm actually friends with, who doesn't know Katie and Chris either. Could it be the other neighbor that's been running around in all the chats? Not the fake neighbor that came on and pretended to be a neighbor that doesn't even live in the vicinity, but the other neighbor that her name starts with the B2 that runs around on all the chats. I mean, could that be the neighbor that's playing the telephone game? I don't know.
Friends with, she's the one that has the camera on the corner of
Lord.
Stafford and Kellen, and I'm not going to mention her name, but she's the one that the camera footage got leaked without her knowledge and her permission that everybody has seen. But I've directly spoken with her, and then I also have directly spoken with a couple other neighbors that live very close to the Prophet's house. And the neighbor that I spoke with the very first time that morning, she said that when she was taking her kids to school, Katie was already back from looking. She had just got back from looking, and the kids have to be in school at 7:30. And so she normally leaves the house at 7 to take her kids to school. But Katie was already.
Kyle's already bitching. Kyle is literally already giving me the dirty look of how the fuck.
Imagine like coming home to that every day. Holy shit.
You can't imagine that?
Nails on a chalkboard to me. I'm sorry. That's just.
She's neighborhood watch.
Yeah, no.
She can tell you what every fucking
PTA
neighbor
Patty
across PTA Patty. Kyle just
way too much time on Facebook.
Kyle just nicknamed her PTA Patty. Kyle supposedly has an AirPod in and he's listening to, what were you listening to?
String theory.
He's listening to something about string theory and has the comments pulled up on his phone. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know. It's a Monday. Her kids were home. They weren't home. I don't know.
Back and in the front yard, and all the cops and stuff were there. So she stopped for a minute to talk to her, took her to school. My neighbor that had the camera footage told me that her timeline is not working correctly, but
your timeline doesn't work correctly because it's not even firsthand knowledge. And where is this other neighbor supposedly live? Because it's not even your. Oh Lord.
When she puts it all together with the sunrise and then the bus coming through and all of that, she said it was approximately about 6 o'clock, 6:15, 6:20. It was right in between. Supposedly when she discovered him missing, supposedly she gets up, she runs around the house, she gets dressed, and she drives out of the neighborhood and that kind of thing and goes looking for him. But I know the neighbor if you're looking at the Prophet's house on the left, when she went running out of her house hysterical, the neighbor next to her was already out. You know, of course, everybody's getting up, getting ready for work, getting kids ready for school. Bus comes 6:45, 6:50-ish. 6:45, 6:50. It's been a long time since my kids have ridden the bus, so I have to really think about that one.
It's been a long time since our kids have ridden the bus. Okay.
But it's definitely before 7 because the kids have to be in school in class by 7:30.
But the kids have to be in school by 7:30, but her kids were still home at 8 o'clock. Okay, make it make sense.
And we're the last pick up before he actually goes to school because we're right next to the school. So, you know, everybody was getting up and getting ready for work and everything. So she actually saw her out and she asked her what was going on. She told her. And so she actually walked around the house and was helping her look around the house. So she was already back from looking around 7.
Interesting. When she left to go look for Sebastian, I know that if you
Well, at least they're confirming Katie's story. Thank you for that, I guess.
turn right going out of the Prophet, which you go up the top of the hill, it's a cul-de-sac, or you go around and you can go up your street all the way at the back where the construction is. Did she, before she ventured out of the neighborhood, did she go up those roads do you know of to look?
Did she go up my road?
Your road or her road itself to the top of the cul-de-sac? You know, where
The
her
only
road
thing
ends.
So the only thing I was told,
The only thing I was told.
of course, nobody in my house was up or out yet. So I can't verify.
Nobody was up, though. She says nobody was up in her house, but before she said they were up and running in her room and telling her all this stuff was going on. So which is it, lady? Was your house up and about, or were they not up and about?
Verify that because we weren't out yet. But the neighbor that told me that she saw her SUV drive across her driveway saw her leave.
Like,
So
leave out-
that's right.
Like when Katie said she was going to the high school to look for her child, you know, like that. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So
you would think that
she-
maybe you stay in the neighborhood a little bit and go up and down your own streets. Looking
Well,
around
that
for-
was when she went to the school thinking that he had walked to the school on his own, which I don't know why. He's never done that before. So why would he do that? I mean, like, why would he just
Who knows? She was going to look for her son. He's never eloped before. There's been no history, lady. If as involved as you are in all the Facebook groups and the nosy neighbor bullshit and neighborhood watch, you suck at compiling information.
All over next door, I guarantee it.
That's exactly what she does. She sits on next door like
All
a
over.
freaking 70-year-old lady watching her neighbors.
Walk to school by himself. Plus, he had no shoes on, supposedly. So, like, why would he walk to school by himself? So, but that's what I was told, that she actually walked around her house outside, didn't find him. So she got in her car and drove to the school.
Because it's the next place he was comfortable at. That makes sense.
Was back by 7. Around that time.
Oh,
At least actually before that.
Yeah. The Sebastian.
yeah, it matches dispatch audio. If you guys need me to pull up dispatch audio and go through that, so give you the verbatim from dispatch time frame and everything, we can do that too.
Did he take the bus to school, or did Katie take him in her car?
From what the neighbor, from what the neighbors, of course, I don't have kids that ride the bus anymore. But from what the neighbor nearby said, that he did ride the bus. Now,
so from what the neighbor nearby, which we don't know who the fuck that is, because anybody could be nearby when you live a couple blocks away. I mean, there's a lot of houses there. So anyway, somebody in the neighborhood, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. No, we don't want you as a neighbor. Please don't ever move into our neighborhood. Anyways,
Please don't ever do that again.
yeah, I'm gonna have a bunch of corny songs for this one because this lady is already making my head fucking short circuit, and it's already bad enough as is. They've all said that he rides the bus. He gets picked up from the bus outside of his home. I don't even know what we're doing here.
the neighbor on the corner that has a surveillance camera said that there is a special bus that comes for certain kids that have special needs and whatever. And she said, I don't think he gets on that bus. I think he gets on the other bus. So that was what I was told. I can't verify that, so I can't answer that appropriately.
Then you shouldn't have answered it to begin with at all. You should have said, sorry, I can't answer that. I have no firsthand knowledge.
Got you. So we're talking all law enforcement, all there, starting to descend onto the area, 8 a.m.-ish, right? 8 a.m.-ish.
Well, they were there before that.
They were there by 7. Before 7.
They were already there, and cars parked.
Jesus.
By the time when my son went to work at 8, they were already there and already clumped up together and starting to talk, because they were already in the front yard talking to them. So they were, I don't know exact. I mean, I would say probably it was even before. I mean, they were probably there. I'm trying to remember what she said when she got ready to leave. She never said anything. The neighbor that called me and told me about it never mentioned law enforcement being there. She just said that Katie was outside walking around, upset and everything. And she asked her, like, what's going on?
No shit. You think she'd be upset? But again, the neighbor that called her, again, she wasn't in the vicinity because she can't decide if her household was up or if they were still in bed or what the case is.
But she didn't specify if there were law enforcement there, but they were already there. And
but you just said in the beginning of your story that the whole entire neighborhood was flooded with law enforcement. So which is it, ladies? Stick to a story, please. Pick a lane.
Other cars and in the front yard at 8 o'clock. So they had to have been there before that.
Gotcha. Any idea when Seth got there?
No, but I do know that he was there by the time my kids went over there.
Seth, if you get this message, get rid of this chick as an admin for the group on Facebook. She can't even get your story straight. And she's an admin for the Facebook group you guys promote. Like, she sucks, dude.
Like I said, which was about 8:30. He was already there. And I also know that his truck was there, like, off and on the whole time.
Gotcha.
But I don't know what time exactly.
So what happens to just explain to everybody then, what did law enforcement do at that point, like throughout the morning once they all arrived there? Did more and more law enforcement come, or was there certain?
I told my neighbor down the street, I said, I didn't even know we had these agencies. I mean, like, I've never in my life ever seen.
Again, that's not the question he asked. He didn't ask if you've ever seen these agencies. Ma'am, can you answer the question you've been asked? Because you just keep going off of boom.
Such a response. It was overwhelming. It was like, it kind of.
PTA Patty has everybody on next door and watching everybody's Ring cameras, but she can't even know that they have SWAT teams in the local area.
Freaked me out. Like, oh my God, I feel like I'm living in a real life, like, drama crime scene. It was the craziest thing.
Oh my God, no way. A real life drama crime scene. Like, are you hoping to getting a starring role in a Netflix documentary? Is that what we're doing here, Bobby?
I've ever seen. The very first that came out was
She's a group for She's an admin, day tripper. It's posted on my community wall too. There's screenshots of it just so you guys, if you need to, you can look for yourselves too to vet everything that I'm saying. But Miss Bobby is an admin for the Facebook group that Seth and Terry Lynn promoted that was started on February 27th called Finding Sebastian Rogers. It's got 2 exclamation points in front of it. It says exclamation point, Finding Sebastian Rogers, no speculation or theories. I'm going to quickly show you guys this. I look like shit. Don't mind me. And then I'll let this is a screen recording, so I'm not going to. So there's, you see history. I posted some of these too, but if you go down here, you see the admins and moderators. Let me show you. Miss Bobby is the top one. Miss Bobby is the top one. Sorry, I look real scary tonight. Real scary tonight. So there you go. There's that. Yeah, kind of interesting how that all works out, isn't it?
Sheriff's Department, because we live in a county. So Sheriff's Department respond first because, you know, we're not part of the city. So they came up first and they literally walked all up and down and around and everything.
So she just confirmed what Chris has been saying. So Chris has been saying that by him calling the Sheriff's Department directly, which we know if he would have called 911 from Memphis, he would have been rerouted to Memphis anyway, so it wouldn't have worked in their area. So he bypassed, and he himself said that they are in county jurisdiction. That's why he bypassed all of that and called the county to skip a few steps. Well, she just verified the same very thing that he has been saying, that they are in county limits, the Sheriff's Department, which the proper avenue, even though people have still flipped out about that.
And then they came door to door and asked everybody, you know, who all had cameras and whatnot. What did you see? What do you know? Whatever. And then it was, now, of course, I'm having to really go back in my head. It's been a little while.
But she could have just gone back to her Facebook post because she's got multiple posts. I've read you guys those posts on February 26th, and don't worry, there's more of them.
It was later on that afternoon. They brought some dogs in, and they started walking around. They came around the houses and asked everybody to walk around their own property, look underneath stuff, in anything that's unlocked. So all of us up and down my street, everybody, my neighbors came out with me. She and I walked together, walked all up and down our yards, all across the street, up and through the cul-de-sac, down the street a little bit. There's a
the wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round.
A barbed wire fence behind us as of right now, where the new construction is, so you can't get over that, but we can walk around it. And so we both walked up and around that.
You can't get over barbed wire fence, lady. She's city folk.
Just looked everywhere that was kind of close by. And then I noticed that they had the drones up. And of course, the news was short. That was Tuesday. The news came out and was flying the helicopter around. It was chaotic. It was absolutely chaotic.
Well, yeah, you have a 15-year-old missing child. It would be chaotic, lady.
Did you see Seth and Katie out there looking? No.
Not in our neighborhood. Never.
Never seen them walk around.
No. They were in their yard out, but never left their property. No. And I know for a fact because so Monday my kids were.
I know for a fact.
Out with law enforcement, because at that point it was.
So her kids must be past school age because it was a school day.
We need all the neighbors come out, help us, look everywhere, whatever. So they were open to everybody coming in and help. So at that point, my kids jumped into one of those razor things and drove all up and through the property and stuff. And then my other one walked with the canine unit.
Pay attention to this part right here because it'll wrap back to it coming up too, because she says that her kids were going around looking through the neighborhood and trying to help on ATVs, UTVs, things of that nature. But then down the road, she says, well, I'll show you.
In the construction zone. He walked all the way through that. They literally, I had to call him at one point in time and tell him, y'all need to come home and have lunch. I mean, this is crazy. I know you want to help, but you got to come home and eat. And so then they came home, they ate.
So they had to come home for lunch, but isn't a school day? Again, must be an adult child, I'm assuming, or somebody that's out of school already.
Then they went back out there and they were out there with them all day Monday, all day Tuesday. And then, so Tuesday we had SWAT. That was the day we had the vigil. And
Okay, let's talk about Tuesday. So that would have been the 27th, February 27th. Let's look and see what Miss Bobby posted on February 27th. So on February 27th, Miss Bobby, not only was the Facebook group that I just showed you started on February 27th, Miss Bobby posts, I have not been asked to post this. I am posting on my own just from information I have received from my kids who have been out with several of the law enforcement departments and talking to them myself. No matter where you live in and around Long Hollow or now beyond, if you have security cameras, please check them. Check them for any time period of yesterday. We don't have cameras, but from what I'm hearing of those who do have cameras, you may not have received an alert due to it being so dark outside. Please check them anyway, just to make sure that you don't see this boy walking around your yard. If you see anything off, please call police. The police are asking everyone to check their cameras. Okay, so that's what she posted on the 27th. So she was getting her information from her children. She also posted, I have had many people reach out and ask how they can help and if there's going to be a community-wide search. Hopefully this will answer your question. And she posted a link to the group. Hold on. I'm going to show you guys this one more time so you don't have to take my word for it. And again, y'all, I'm not doxing her by this. Facebook profiles are public information. She is an admin of a public group and she doxed herself last night. So let me show you guys. So on February 27th, she posts a link to that Facebook group that I showed you guys. So she makes the other post on February 27th and then does that. Okay. So she had her hands all up in it. Started a Facebook group. They got that going. So she was in there from jump. The very day that it was created. I wonder if she was the creator of that group.
It was interesting because we put out a post on the neighborhood group that we're having a vigil and everybody's invited, but we want it to be just the neighborhood only because we want it to be a private vigil just for our neighborhood and for the family. We were hoping if we made it more personal like that the family would come and they wouldn't be overwhelmed with all this. That was the other thing. Good God, the traffic. The second that it got out, we had tons of people just driving up and down the street, just looking and watching. I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do to help. We're flooded already with police. I don't know what outsiders coming in are going to do. I mean, it was chaotic as it was anyway. And now you got all these extra people coming out there. So it just got so chaotic. But so Tuesday night we planned the vigil, went down there, got in a big circle, introducing everybody. And there's neighbors. I don't want to get too personal here. There are neighbors. Actually, we have I think 2, maybe 3 sets of neighbors that are in law enforcement. They're in different counties. One of them is actually a part of Hendersonville Police, and then the other 2 are from other counties. They came to the vigil. As a matter of fact, the one that is part of Hendersonville has been in a neighborhood since almost the beginning. Know them very well, good people. And he was down there with a flashlight because we had so many people driving up and down and around and circling and going up and down and circling and coming back and forth. And we're just like, good grief. The Proudfoot sent, I don't know who it was, but they came down and we were all introducing ourselves.
She doesn't know who it was, but they came down. She don't know who it was, but they came down. They were sent down by the Proudfoots, according to this one, but she doesn't know who they were.
And they introduced themselves as aunt and uncle.
The Proudfoots?
Don't have a
aunt and uncle?
Proudfoots. Apparently, I don't know if it was somebody's brother or that's what they introduced themselves as. We are, maybe it was Sebastian's aunt and uncle.
Chris and
Katie
said they were their aunt and uncle.
Well, it wasn't. Chris and Katie didn't come. They sent family members, and when they introduced themselves as we're aunts and uncles.
Why
so I guess Sebastian's aunt and uncle.
Why didn't Chris? Did Seth go?
No.
Oh,
so no Seth. No Seth.
Seth wasn't there either. Wait, color me shocked.
No Proudfoots. They basically sent their own representatives, family members that claim they ran.
That's correct. Yes.
I got 2 questions back on the first day. When do you know that Chris arrived home?
I did not, because I didn't know. I had never met them. They moved in and nobody knew them. Like, I still don't know anybody that really knows them. Like, nobody ever really knew them.
Oh, wait. None of you know them. but your neighbors that talk to people that talk to people that your neighbors talk to other people that are supposedly neighbors. Okay, gotcha.
And so
when did they move in? Do you know?
I think, well, so
22?
apparently it was a year and a half ago.
Gotcha.
Come on, lady. Can you not even get your answers from public records? You know, you've had all of that stuff in the Facebook groups. Come on, people. Like, why do they do this shit?
Gotcha.
Yeah, and they just say to themselves, and nobody really even knew them. I didn't even know that the original owners sold their house, and not because we don't, you know, our neighborhood is just a real quiet neighborhood. Everybody kind of stays to themselves, except for, you know, if you need something, or if a dog, you know, a pet gets out, or if somebody goes on vacation, you know, hey, will you watch my house, that kind of thing. But we don't
Wait, there's no big ol' HOA barbecues like the other fake phony ass neighbor claimed. You know, the fake one that went on crime lies and bullshittery, I should say.
really, unfortunately, I think everybody's just had busy lives and stuff, you know, and we just don't know. I mean, like each neighbor knows the neighbor next to them. Like I know all the neighbors around me, and
Busybody knows all of her neighbors, so she's basically confirming that none of these people are her neighbors, but she has friends that are neighbors of.
Know a lot of their original neighbors that were there from day one, but I don't know the ones that have moved in over the past 5 years. And I think with COVID, that kind of messed everything up too.
Gotcha. Somebody put in the
Or maybe people just don't want to hang out with PTA Patty. I mean, there could be that too.
chat, what time does the trash get picked up in the morning?
That is the biggest misconception. Here we go with the whole light thing, right? This is where we're going. So
one more thing first. The very first day, the dogs. You saw dogs out there. You saw.
Oh yes,
did you
absolutely.
See them going a specific direction or area? Did you see them centered around a certain area, or did they pick up any scent?
Okay, so there was no scent that was picked up from their house to anywhere. However, and
that's a contradiction if you listen to the dispatch audio. Should I pull that up?
my kids were with the handler and the canine and actually watched. He followed them all through.
Her children were with the handler. Usually when canines are out, they're not going to allow children to be with them when they're trying to track a scent. They keep children out. Ma'am. So we're supposed to believe that your children were just following around canine handlers in the scent trail in an active scene. What is going on here?
The construction zone. And one of my kids actually saw one of the dogs take the handler to one of the retention ponds. And not
so her kid watched the handler be drugged to the retention pond.
only did he go to the retention pond, he ran to it and jumped in it.
Oh, shocking. I thought you just said there wasn't anything.
And the handler had to go and get him and take him out of the water and then dry him off. And my son looked over at the handler and said, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like that before." He looked at me and said, "He's never done that before."
So your child was just palling around with the canine handler and was right there when they jumped in the pond. And the handler said, "Yeah, I've never seen that happen either." Okay. Do we hear this child on the dispatch audio? And by the way, I said it earlier, but I needed sarcasm font on my legit neighbor. She's legit as in a local in the vicinity and a real human. Other than that, that's about where everything ends.
My son said, "Why did he just jump in that?" He said he was following a scent. And then the other
on that, did they go in the water? Did they take scuba divers or anything in there?
Supposedly, when I told Seth that when I met him at the most recent vigil, he said they drained the pond twice and nothing.
So she lives in the neighborhood. Her kid followed them to the retention pond, was just palling around with the canine handler, watched the dog jump in the pond. But she doesn't know. But she just met Seth at a, oh Lord, lady, this is just chaotic. This is too much. Okay, so she's basically getting her info from Facebook group posts and things that have been released on social media. I gotcha.
But not only did I see that, but when on day 3, I think it was Wednesday, when National Guard came through and they had their dogs. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They were all up and down through the neighborhood. That's why when everybody said, the police aren't doing enough, I have some of my own personal thoughts about that, but I will tell you right now, We had we had the Sumner County Sheriff's Office, we had Hendersonville Police, we had state troopers, we had National Guard, we had drones, we had helicopters, we had canines, we had 2 sets of different canines, and the National Guard brought theirs. So we were flooded.
Her and the fucking neighbor down the street who she calls on the phone, which we don't even know who that is.
Okay, so back to the whole dog.
Let's do the trash, because the trash is what everyone is like curious about. The time the trash picks up, and then in reference to the lights, we're going to talk about the 3:10 a.m. lights. Let's talk about the trash. What do you know?
So our trash gets picked up by J.E. McMurtry Disposal, has for many years. They used to, a few years back, they would pick up around 6:30ish, but then the bus was coming through and it was making it hard for them to come through with the bus, and all the kids were out and it was just chaotic. So
Can you just give a straight answer ever? It's not that hard. What time does the trash pickup happen in your neighborhood?
switched it, and now they go down my street about 5:30, 5-ish.
She can't answer that. She doesn't even know if she was up or not. And she said,
Between 5:15-ish, 5:20, something like that, every Monday morning. That's going down my hill, though. That's not when they come in and they're going around it. That's when they're coming back down. So, yeah.
I mean, that's an extra, 20 minutes? How long does it take for the trash truck guy to go through the whole entire neighborhood?
And the other misconception is a lot of people are saying that they have to hand dump the trash bin in there. They don't. It's a new truck. They have an arm, and it does it for them. So that was another thing where they're having to pick up these big. No, they're not.
That was one of my questions right in the beginning of all of this, what kind of trash truck it was. And so many people told me that it was one that they had to manually pick up. And I was like, whoa, this is a really remote area. But she just confirms that it's got a manual arm.
They have an arm. They roll it over to the arm, connect it to the arm, and they dump it. You can hear it. I mean, it's not quiet. It's loud. I mean, you can hear the arm doing all that. So by the time they collect the trash coming up the street, though, not going down it. They're collecting it as they come up. So I guess they're probably in the neighborhood just like around 5, just before 5.
And they're out of there before the buses come.
Yes.
Or the bus come, or the,
Absolutely.
You said buses. Where's the trash go?
Oh, it gets dumped in either Nashville or Gallatin. If Nashville is full, they'll temporarily dump it to Gallatin. And then once, I guess, Nashville gets finished, whatever, then they'll transport to Nashville. The big misconception was that the neighborhood behind us, they get picked up by a different company on Tuesdays. So that's a whole different thing.
Is that construction development you're talking about?
Well, that was the dumpster that everybody was asking about. How is it possible that, whatever, that the dog hit over there as well? The second dog.
Wait, in the beginning of this, she said there was no hits whatsoever.
Was out walking hit also by the trash dumpster. And
oh, wait, but now there's another one, supposedly, according to her.
The trash dumpster owner found that out when law enforcement told him that we got a hit by the dumpster. The owner of the dumpster called them back and said, okay, we dumped our trash on this certain day, Tuesday, whatever, on that certain day in Kentucky. So you guys need to go and get a warrant, obviously. And he gave them permission to go search the Kentucky dumpster.
So, ma'am, first and foremost, if they were given permission, that doesn't need to have a warrant. They wouldn't need to have a warrant if they were given permission by the owner of the property where the trash was dumped. They wouldn't have even needed, if they had, ma'am, y'all. By the way, Kyle's right. This is PTA Patty.
Landfill. So that's why they went to Kentucky. And then I was told that they also checked Gallatin and Nashville as well.
That night, Katie claims, the night of the 25th, that Sebastian takes the trash out after they arrived home from going out to dinner. Go ahead.
There's no specific footage of that. The neighbor that has the Ring door camera that saw that, she said to me on the phone.
She said to me, another one, can't answer it directly, but somebody said
that the only thing you can see is a silhouette. She said you cannot.
Only thing you can see is a silhouette. Keep that in mind.
See a physical person. There is absolutely no physical proof of Sebastian being at their house that night after dinner. There's nothing.
So there's no proof of him, even though we've heard even Seth say that he was shown a video. Yes, it was dark. But there was a flashlight when the trash was being taken out. Seth's words. Everybody else seems very confident in that video that that was him taking the trash out. Except for all of the ones who want to continue with the speculation and bullshit.
Her car coming home. My neighbor did tell me that she saw her car come, but she parks in the garage, so nobody saw him get out of the car.
What time was that? I always want to know what time she arrived home. Do you know?
I asked, and she said that it was so dark that she couldn't really see. She saw about 6 or so, I think.
It was so dark she couldn't really see, but do we have to do this? Hey, Beaverhausen, is this really happening? Like, why do you people do this shit? This was all intentional, y'all, from jump. I don't even know. We can finish it, of course, but y'all, who she's associated with, you got to take into huge accounts here. She is an admin, probably the creator of that Facebook group that was started the very day after he went missing. Unfortunately, she's another one gaining attention off of a missing child, started a whole entire private Facebook group, has been making posts, watching all this stuff. She's associated with Terry Lynn, who's associated with Seth. She has complete bias against the Proudfoot. She doesn't have firsthand knowledge of anything. She can't even get the story straight of whether her kids were in her room jumping around, telling her to get up, communicating information, or if she was asleep. She can't tell anything about anything. These neighbors all, oh, Lord bless it.
Is what she said ish, because they went to dinner at Texas and then supposedly came home, and then her car came in the driveway around 6, and then somebody pulled the trash bin out, after that. But they don't know who it was because you can't tell.
They don't know who it was because you can't tell. Law enforcement has tools that they can use to also confirm like images. Thank God for people that are smarter than this bimbo.
So no evidence. Any neighbor, including yourself or any, because you all talk, the neighbors talked to everybody and said there's nothing to indicate that he was home that night. He got home that night.
So this is the narrative that they're going with. So this comes on the heels of Seth making an ass out of himself on BJ's panel and spewing a bunch of complete nonsense after his cease and desist, TikTok Tony and his trouble and all of his ramblings against JLR. And then it just so happens that she shows up on JLR's. Yeah. What's the play here, guys?
There's no proof of that. Nobody ever saw him come home, or really, I mean, I don't even know if anybody can say they saw him leave with her. I mean, no, I don't think anybody actually looked back that far. It was so chaotic at the very beginning. I think the police were so focused on a runaway teen that was what everybody was focused on. So when they first asked to look at their video cameras, I think everybody was checking actual him walking out, but there's no proof of him physically walking out. And then it was, okay, are there any cars around there?
So law enforcement was treating it as a runaway teen. Huh.
And so going back to the whole light thing, I was told that there was an unidentified car sitting on my street.
I was told that there was an unidentified car sitting on my street,
facing the entrance, somewhere around 3:30 or so. And
somewhere around 3:30 or so. Remember that whole rumor that was kicked off when they were trying to claim that Kathy Bowersox was parked up the road? You know, that rumor that there's never been any proof to confirm whatsoever.
Then the flashlights were actually seen on the neighbor's camera. 2 separate flashlights walking in between the yards, which
2 separate flashlights now. Oh, wow.
Trash truck does not do. They don't need to.
So she's saying that law enforcement is basically lying.
All of the trash is at the curb. They have never, ever gone. Matter of fact, when you sign up for services, they tell you in the email their rules and regulations. If your trash is not by the curb, they don't take it. Unless, you're an elderly person.
No shit. They're not going to come to your door and ask you to.
You ask them if your trash is like in the front of your house and you ask them, they'll come and get it like that, but they won't come around the back or in between houses. That's bull monarchy. That is not how that works. No track.
You don't believe that those 3:10 a.m. lights were around 3:10 after 3 a.m. were trash trucks. lights.
Not only do I not believe it, but the neighbor that has the actual footage swore up and down that they're two different circumstances. There was the
Oh, so the neighbor who has the footage swore that they're two different. Okay.
car with the lights coming towards the car backed up on Kellen and left.
The car backed up on Kellen and left now. So all of that footage would have been turned over to law enforcement, right? So they're telling us that they have footage of this, right? You're hearing this. Well, if you go over here to this article, that was written that talks about all the different things. Again, this is from WKRN. If you go down here, it talks about all of the different things that have been going on. It talks about how the parents, the disappearance, volunteers, what areas have been searched. This was also one of the ones that we talked about with the 2,000 miles were searched on foot. All of that. We'll get into this a little bit further. But in this article, it talks about many neighbors and businesses have provided video from home and business surveillance systems. We are grateful for that cooperation. The video has been collected and from the beginning of the investigation has been analyzed and enhanced where possible by tech experts with the TBI, FBI, and Secret Service. To date, nothing gathered from these videos systems has been determined to be significant. We do caution that some surveillance video may be shared in the public may have been misinterpreted or misidentified or not shown in its entirety. It has been determined that it does not hold any evidentiary significance to the investigation. Numerous search warrants have been executed. Cell phone data has been analyzed, and any other available digital evidence has been collected, searched, and documented. Information was collected from Sebastian's gaming system and has been analyzed. With help from the FBI, vehicles that were placed in the area at around the time of Sebastian's disappearance have been accounted for. These videos and all the electronic evidence has already been reviewed. It is often also being reinvestigated. Okay, back to this. Oh, by the way, that was from WKRN, March 15th. Again, if you need the source of that.
Then about 2-ish hours, hour and a half, hour and 42 something, they're like she said, the time stamp on the video is not working. It is stuck. She said, but you can tell because it's pitch black dark in the middle of the night when the car comes down the street, turns onto Stafford, sits there for about 3 to 5 minutes. The flashlights are coming from 2 different directions in between the yards.
So we're supposed to believe PTA Patty here, aka Bobby, the bullshitter, over TBI, FBI, Sumner County, and Secret Service. Okay.
They do whatever they're doing around the car. The car backs up Kellen and leaves from Stafford. I'm sorry, backs up Kellen and leaves. And then
hydration
2 or so hours later, as the sun is just beginning to come up, you can see the trash truck. And she said, but the trash truck goes past her driveway. She said, you can see the trash truck and the lights and the back of the truck go past her driveway, go up the hill, do its business, turn around, come back down.
Does that neighbor that you talk to see shadow people too? I'm just curious. Does she have special abilities?
And then within a few minutes later, the sun is coming up, and then you can see Katie's car leave, Katie's car coming back, and then you can see all the police come in. She said, it's very obvious. So I asked her why the police are saying that that's trash truck, and she said, I don't know. I'm baffled because I tell you right now, there are 2 different circumstances, and that you can tell there are 2 different time frames.
So are they trying again to paint the narrative that law enforcement is lying to everybody? Because law enforcement has been very straightforward about there's no evidentiary value of these videos.
Wow. Because we've heard from Seth Rogers, and Seth is adamant that he was told or he's seen.
That's because LE has told him that.
What's up with that?
Because LE has told him that. Law enforcement has told him that.
Why?
That's the question I asked when I called.
Oh, get the tinfoil on. Now she's calling places.
I got I think all of us are just super frustrated as this continues to go on, that
she's super frustrated. She's super frustrated. All of us are super frustrated. Ma'am, can you imagine having a child missing and not being able to have answers? Can you imagine being in their shoes? Any of them?
We don't understand what's happened. We don't know what's happened. we've all been involved in trying to find him day one. We've spread it. We've shared it on social media. A lot of us were out with law enforcement the first week or so, looking for him and stuff. I mean, this shook us up.
I mean, the canine handler was just letting her son pal around with them, running around and, in an active scene, trying to pick up scents of a missing child. That makes a whole lot of fucking sense too. Can they get better actors for their games that they play? I don't know what this play was, but it's terrible.
Up to the core. It flipped our neighborhood upside down and just shook us up. I mean, nobody left their house for 2 weeks. Even the families who walk their dogs every single day.
No one left their houses for 2 weeks. We
didn't see them for 2 weeks.
Why?
So,
why?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know what was going on. We had no idea what happened.
People who usually walk their dogs stopped walking their dogs. I'm sure that it was intense. I'm sure everybody was stressed out. A missing child is a big deal, but she's making it sound so overly dramatic here. This is unbelievable.
I mean, when you got a 15-year-old kid that just vanishes in thin air, nobody wants to leave. We're scared. And then, of course, you see Chris, getting upset through all these YouTube videos. And if you're
so you don't have firsthand knowledge of Chris getting upset. Oh wait, you're going to tell us the story shortly. Anyways, but you had to watch YouTube videos to watching him getting upset with people who were weaponizing his wife's trauma to try and paint a narrative against his wife. I wonder why the man would be upset, or that he's being lied on and accused of heinous things by random people on the internet, including the one you're sitting next to, and including the one that you admin a Facebook group that they promote. Make it make sense, lady.
Your neighbor is that upset and threatening people and saying the things he's saying. You're not going to go be a part of that. You're going to stay in your little cocoon and stay away from them. And I mean, lock your doors and be by yourself. And
you're going to lock your doors because the parents are upset by their neighbors helping paint a narrative that isn't helping bring their son home. Okay.
Protect yourself and just stay away from it.
Okay.
You're seeing Sebastian Rogers in the neighborhood or walking around or anything prior to that day? Nothing.
From what I understand from neighbors that live right.
From what I understand, nope, she's never seen Sebastian before, but she knows all this other
close to him. The only time they ever saw him come out was when he was playing with the dogs. The dogs would get out and, he'd be out there for a little while, but nobody ever really knew him.
Nobody knew any of them.
He never.
But earlier on, she said that everybody kind of keeps to themselves.
Came out to play with neighborhood kids. You never saw him out riding his bike. I mean, now I'll tell you this. I mean, we have neighbors that go out, like I said, and walk their dogs every single day, sometimes even twice a day. You have kids that will go out and play basketball. We have a basketball goal in one of the cul-de-sacs. Kids will come up and play basketball in the basketball goal. They'll walk, ride their bike. We have a one kid that has a four-wheeler and a dirt bike, and he rides around, that kind of thing. Didn't even know Sebastian existed. Never played with anybody.
No friends, nothing.
Never had any friends over their house.
But you don't live anywhere close, so you don't really know what goes on in their house. But now you're telling us that they didn't ever have people over at their house, but you don't even live in the vicinity to know who comes and goes from their house. Okay, I gotcha.
How long was, because I heard that Seth was there for a few days staying with the Proudfoots. Did you hear that?
I did. True? Well, I saw his, I didn't know he was staying in their house, but I saw his truck there every single day for, when I heard that he had stayed in their house for 3 days, I was shocked. I didn't realize he had actually stayed in the house.
I was shocked. Well, according to Seth, he actually went and slept in his truck for a while the first day he got there because he remembers Chris coming in with his hazards on and he was sleeping in his truck. But he also said that he was so busy watching all of their behavior and movements and stuff and how they were acting and what they were responding to.
And then they said 3 days. I'm like, well, that's odd because his truck was parked on the curb of the street for about a week. But I didn't know he was actually there because he was out searching. Like, he was actually at the command center for the first week every day, all day long.
But according to Seth, he got kicked out of the command center.
Seth was.
Not Chris and Kate. Chris and Kate?
Oh, no.
But she doesn't realize that Seth claims that he was kicked out of the command center. But she can verify that Chris and Katie weren't there because I'm sure PTA Patty had eyes on that too, right?
No, they never left their house.
They never left their house. They never left their house. Oh my God, the woman.
Never.
Not that I'm
Never went
aware of.
with any flyers,
Not that I'm aware of.
go to door, you know, to speak with neighbors, ask them if they've seen anything, nothing.
No.
Wow.
Nope.
That is so Miss Bobby. So do you
And the only,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, the only thing that they even put on Facebook was that one post.
Which eventually got deleted.
Theirs didn't. The original neighbor that was asking, hey, what's all the commotion on Stafford? That person deleted their post.
Gotcha.
Shady's is still up there.
Were the Bauer socks around at all during that week? Yeah, I know you said that they were there that morning. Did they look around? Did they look around?
Remember, she said she didn't know who any of these people were until photos on social media started coming out.
No, we never saw anybody. None of them ever looked in our neighborhood where I'm at. I never seen any of them walking around at all, period, ever.
Oh, look who's right there. Oh my God. Every video that we review, this one is always in the mix of it, trying to get attention. God, she's like on her persiflates.
Seth, Chris, Katie, Bauer Sox, none of them ever. I never even met them. I had one encounter with Chris one night. And after, I never saw him, never met him, nothing.
The Chris encounter, you mind sharing? I think we talked about this offline a little bit.
Yes. Okay. So
deep breath. Why are you sighing so heavy before this story?
I'll kind of share a little bit of that. This was what day was it? Thursday, I think it was. I think it was Thursday.
She's trolling for memory here. Okay, speaking of Thursday, let's take a look right quick. She's so full of shit, right? I know. It's freaking ridiculous to hear this. Why do these people do this stuff? Why do you people do this? Why do you act like this? Okay, so on February 28th, she makes a Facebook post on her Facebook that links to her being an admin of the group. And what she says is, PSA, I know, I get it. Everyone is very worried about him. We all are. His parents more than anyone. I promise. The police and all the first responders are doing everything in their power, using all their high-tech equipment, professionals, experts, etc. to look for him. We've had police in all different units all over our property, the new construction next door, up and down our entire neighborhood. No stone has been left unturned, so to speak. Also, I am the admin in our private Facebook neighborhood group. I've had over a dozen requests to join our group since Sebastian went missing. Again, I know you want to know what is happening, but I am not allowing outside people into our group. Our group is for neighbors only. The best thing to do is watch the pages that law enforcement have. They are posting updates as they have them on their pages. They know more than we do. Wait, I thought you were just discounting law enforcement. Also, the police have been asked multiple times, even told us not to search on our own and not to create their own search parties. They have said it on the news and on social media. People continue to try and set up their own search party. I know we are all worried and desperate to help, but you going off on your own actually takes resources and time away from the investigation because they see you on their heat cameras, have to go hunt you down so they can find out what you are doing and what you know. That actually happened to one of my twins Monday. We were having a neighborhood vigil last night. When it was over, the SWAT asked us politely to go home. Being out there was making them have to stop and ask us what we were doing. They appreciated what we were doing, but needed to clear the area. Last note, the police have asked multiple times for everyone to stay vigilant and on their, The police have asked us multiple times for everyone to stay vigilant on their own property, checking their property constantly, checking their cameras constantly. They said you are welcome to drive around and keep your eyes open. They said that on the news yesterday. The best way you can help is keep sharing the information on social media and just keep your eyes open. Please respect our privacy, trust the police, and let them do their job. I read that on purpose. Again, that was from February 28th from Miss Bobby. Okay, let's continue on here.
that Thursday night. Now, mind you, our neighborhood is on pins and needles. Don't know what happened to this kid. Don't understand. Law enforcement's, coming up and around. We've got every department that I didn't even know existed. Like I said, I didn't know, we had a SWAT team. I didn't know we had,
She didn't know they had a SWAT team. She didn't know this, right? Look what he's making me do. Y'all, hold on. I gotta show you this. He went and got a fan because I want to be outside and my electrolyte drinks. I told you, it's like having a babysitter. I hate this time of year. Anyways, back to this.
drone footage. I didn't know we had any of this stuff. I mean, we're a small county. I had no idea. Not a small county, but like we're away from like the big crowd, the city. Never had any issues, so I didn't even know that any of this stuff existed. So we were all kind of on pins and needles, and so anything weird. Let me go back a little bit and say the night before this. This is the reason why this happened. The night before this, I had went to work that night. I think I did something. I wasn't home for some reason. My son was on our back deck. Now our back deck faces the construction. The back of the construction. And so he was on the back deck talking to somebody, and he looks out and he says, well, that's really weird. And she said, what? And he said, look at the lights out there. And there was a flashlight. It was kind of a dim flashlight, but you could see it because it's pitch black dark.
Oh, no way. Wait, could that be? I know, he's so good to me. He's so good to me. He really is. But do you remember what I just read to you about the police have asked us multiple times, even us, not to search on our own and not create their own search parties? That actually happened to one of my twins Monday. We were having a neighborhood vigil last night. When it was over, the SWAT asked us politely to go home. Being out there was making them have to stop and ask us what we were doing. Remember that. Remember that part as she goes into the story.
And he said, why is there a flashlight over there? It was one single flashlight, and it was like walking in the back, kind of over in the back of the woods area. And it like walked around, stopped, walked around a little bit, stopped, and then just disappeared in the back of the woods. And so he called me and he's like, what do I do? And I said, you need to call law enforcement. Like, call the number. We had a flyer, one of those flyers. And I was like, you need to call the TBI and tell them and figure out what to do with that. He did. And nothing. No phone call back. No.
Could it be because it was law enforcement out there trying to search under darkness? Could that be because, I mean, that sounds like what you assumed it was in your Facebook post, but now because it's on JLR Investigates, you have to add more salacious details to it?
No, nothing. Just, okay, thanks for the letter. I'm like, okay, that's awfully weird. I mean, you would think that they would come check that out or call you back and ask you.
Yeah, follow-ups.
Nothing. No, they didn't even call him back to ask him, like, exactly where are you? What did you see? Nothing. Nobody ever followed up or nothing. And so he was like, that's really weird. And I was like, yeah, that is weird. I mean, with a missing kid, you would think they would be coming flying up here to figure out who that was. So it was the following night. So now, of course, we're all like, even more in pins and needles. Like, is people just going to just start walking around a neighborhood in the middle of the night like they were pitch black dark in the night? And so he was coming home. We were all at home and still looking around and talking to neighbors and figuring out like what the heck is going on. And he comes home and walks in the door and is like, Mom, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, now what? And he said, there's two people, a real tall, skinny guy and a real small, it looks like a girl maybe, that is walking up our street. Now, we do have families that will come out and walk their dogs at night before they go to bed.
No, there was people walking in a neighborhood past dark. No.
But they had no dog with them, no nothing.
No.
And the strangest part about this was this guy was wearing dark, black, wide, like ski goggles. You've been in my neighborhood. You can't see your hand in front of your face. It is so dark at night.
Like ski goggles? Shocking. She knew what was going on in her Facebook post that she posted, but now on this story, she seems to forget everything she said.
It was 9 o'clock at night. Why is somebody walking with these big black goggles? How can they even see? Well, with everything going on, I'm thinking, okay, that's very suspicious.
Oh,
I gotta check on that.
Is there?
Yes, I could have called law enforcement, and that's what was said. You should have called law enforcement. However, I didn't want to call law enforcement on my own neighbor. If it was a neighbor out walking around, I didn't want to be rude and call law enforcement on my neighbor.
So they called law enforcement the first time, but now she doesn't want to call law enforcement on potentially a neighbor. Can anybody help me out here? This is there. What is the game here? What is all this? What is all this for? What is all this for? And look at Brittany J, Slimy, all of them just eating it up. This is why I say this is content farming. One starts this BS again. It's been over 100 days and she just now comes out. She started the Facebook group the day after he went missing. She's been all up in the mix of things, but she waited until now.
So I told my son, I said, you know what, let's go. He's got a Jeep that's got a bunch of lights on it. And I said, let's drive down there and turn your lights on and see if you can see somebody out there walking. I said, I'll call law enforcement and let them know what we're seeing, and then we'll just turn around and go back home. I wasn't going to follow them. I just wanted to see if I could find them. So we're driving down my road. We turn up Stafford because we couldn't find them. Like, well, maybe they went up Stafford. We went up Stafford. Now my son's Jeep is loud.
This was from last night. She did this with JLR Investigates.
And so I didn't even think about it. I was more focused on who this person was. So he drives up Stafford and he says to me, hey, while we're up here, where's Sebastian's house? And I'm like, oh, we just passed it. So he turns around.
So this must be a different son than the sons that were out there. How many sons do you have, ma'am? Because according to her, one of her sons was with the canine handler that followed something that wasn't a scent, because she said there was no scent, but then she said there was 2 scents because, the canine handler that her son was palling around with and hanging out in an active investigation with, the canine handler, just buddy old palling around with her child. So this must be a different son that wasn't there because he didn't know where they lived. It couldn't have been the one that followed from the house to the retention pond, or, I don't know. We're just picking sons out too, out of the sky.
And goes back down, and we're going slowly because I was trying to point out Sebastian's house. And so I pointed it out, and he's like, oh, okay. And so we drive back around, and we're driving back down to the other side of the neighborhood, another cul-de-sac. And he said, wait a minute, didn't you say that this other neighbor has a Ring camera? And I said, yes. And she's the one that saw the silhouette in the window and the lights in the house go on and off and whatever. She's like, but that doesn't make any sense, because if that house is located here.
So now the silhouette was in a window. So now she's saying that the neighbor has a silhouette in the window and the lights going on and off. Like when people go to bed, they turn lights on and off. Okay. I mean,
how can she have seen over here? And I'm like, okay, go back up the street and I'll show you. So we went back up the street to show him where that house was versus this and all the whole thing. And as we were coming back up, we kind of stopped. Now, this is my neighborhood. I'm not a suspicious person. This is my neighborhood.
Ma'am, technically you don't own the neighborhood.
I should be able to do whatever I want to, right?
Yeah, PTA Patty, you should be able to do whatever you want.
So I stopped.
Like harassing the neighbors of a missing, that happened to be the parents of a missing child.
He stops a little bit. I'm pointing that houses out, and we drive out, and I said, Sean, I said, honey, we got to go home. And he's like, why? And I said, because somebody's standing at their front door.
We're busted stalking the parents. They're standing at the front door, and they just saw us cruising by their house like creepers we are.
It's like, oh crap. And I did not, God honest truth, I never meant to upset anybody.
If you didn't have nefarious purposes or were just trying to help look for things and were curious, why wouldn't you stop, roll down the window, get out of the car, and go say, hey, there's some people walking around the neighborhood that caught our attention. Everything okay down here? Everything is on high alert. Why wouldn't you just go out and talk to Chris?
It was truly just me trying to figure out what's going on. Never meant to upset anybody. Turn around, Stafford. I'm coming back down, and Chris is now, mind you, I've never met this man, never seen him before. I wouldn't even know who he is. Matter of fact, I thought he was law enforcement. Stands in the middle of the street and puts his hand out and stops just like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, oh crap.
Well, yeah. The parent of a missing child was somebody driving by your house numerous times, repetitively in a couple minutes time frame. And then you expect them not to be curious of who's driving by. There's a thing of a lot of perpetrators like to return to the scene too. If somebody had him or people inserting themselves, like, that looks suspicious.
Oh crap. And I'm thinking it's law enforcement. I'm like, oh crap, we're about to get in trouble because they're going to think that we're looking for this kid or something.
Why would you get in trouble for looking for this kid? Oh, PTA Patty, you are thin-skinned.
So right on the window, and he comes around and he stands there just like this. Like, what are you doing out here? And I'm like, holy crap. I said, I'm so sorry. We were looking.
I'm so sorry. I'm just being a creep. Trying to get intel for my Facebook group that I started the day after your child went missing. Don't mind me. I'm just, stalking your house.
and I told him what happened and told him the whole story. And he was like, why wouldn't you just call law enforcement? I said, because I don't want to call law enforcement on a neighbor if they're out.
Because I don't want to call law enforcement on a neighbor, even though, I wasn't sure if it was a neighbor or not. But that was my excuse for coming down here and driving by your house 3 times. But not sure, but don't know who it is. So I'm not going to call law enforcement, waste their time, But I'm going to make up every excuse in the book. Okay, lady.
Walking around, that's kind of
no wonder why he's frustrated. Every one of these people continues to do the dumbest shit and involve themselves. But every time he asks these people, why didn't you just call law enforcement? There's always these fucking excuses.
rude. And he's like, well, you have no business driving around here, and started telling me in a very intimidating, very strong.
You could raise your eyebrows at this woman and she'd think it was intimidating and strong. Jesus.
Voice, I guess you would say, big tough, he's a big guy, kind of thing. That my son is missing, and they've got police all around here looking. I said, yeah, no kidding. I know, I'm aware. I've been talking to him. Trust me, I know, I get it. And then he said, there's a police, the heat sensor mobile unit things, I'm talking about, that can detect heat sensor and stuff. Well, they had one of those up in the top, hoping that if he came home, it would alert law enforcement that there was somebody walking around, which I don't get that, because you've got families that are walking dogs anyway. So I was like, I'm so sorry. I kept apologizing to him, and he got really upset and, kind of said some things, and I was just trying to calm him down. I'm
kind of said some things, but she can't remember what he said, but okay.
Apologize. And my son's girlfriend was in the back, and she thought that if she rolled the window down and said, I am such and such, and I go to your son's school, that he would calm down. Even though I said, hey, I'm your neighbor. I live up there. Everything's fine. I'm sorry I didn't bother you. I thought even me telling him I was his neighbor would calm him down. It's like he just glossed right over that. He didn't care. So she says, I'm such and such, and I go to school with your son. And he stops mid-sentence to me and said, oh, and got stopped, looked at her and said, your name? And she said, yes, sir. How do you know? She only gave him her first name, and he said the whole thing. And she was like, how do you know my name? And I was like, what the crap? I looked at my son. I said, we need to go. We just need to go. We just need to go. And
oh, I love this, painting that Chris was out of control. All right.
And I'm like, I'm gonna call the police, because this is getting.
She won't call the police on people wandering around the neighborhood that look suspicious, but she's gonna call the police on the father of a missing child because they're creeping around and stalking their house. Okay.
I don't know. I don't understand. I wish you
wouldn't call law enforcement for suspicious people in the neighborhood supposedly walking around, but it's going to call them on Chris. I
can't describe his body language. Was just very
frustrated, sick and tired of people's shit, upset, stressed, chaotic. I can't imagine being the parents of a missing child and having no answers and having PTA Patty up your fucking ass like she's the neighborhood watch from Sesame Street. Fucking Big Bird.
For that people were out there looking for his son, or think he was more like trying to stop.
Get off my street. Get off my street. Get out of here. Get off my street. Go home. Leave me alone. Get away from us.
Yep. I wonder why.
But he told her that, so you're the girl that runs this Facebook group and this, that, other. I'm going to demand you take that off. You get your phone. And he said, where are your parents? And she said, at my house. And he said, well, I'm going to find out where you live, and I'm going to come knock on their door, and we're going to have a conversation. And
so he's telling the girl that he's going to go to her parents because she's posting some bullshit about him in a Facebook group. And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
She said, okay, good luck with that. And I was like, you know what? Look, we don't.
So not only is PTA Patty up in the wazoo, she's got numerous sons, like a whole fucking army of sons, I guess, that she doesn't even know where they are. She can't even keep track of how many kids she has. But she's got her son's girlfriend who's talking shit about Chris and Katie on Facebook. And they're surprised that Chris knows this. Oh, interesting.
When cause any issues and whatever. I try to give him grace. Don't know the man from nowhere. And I just kept saying, he's upset. His son's missing. He's really upset. He's very defensive. Maybe that's just all that what it was. Now that I've seen some of his YouTube videos, and I'm like, yeah.
Now that I've seen some of his YouTube videos and I want to push another narrative against Chris, yeah, we're going to just say all this out here. But meanwhile, I'm not going to give any grace to the fact that they've been harassed, stalked, defamed, slandered, all of it while having a missing child. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know the back end of those details. I know we talked before offline a little bit. And you said, kind of like a confrontation kind of deal. We confronted you guys, but I didn't know those like back end details that you shared. Somebody in the chat, Smiley's World, was asking prior to the February 26th, right, when Chris arrived home, did any neighbors or anyone that you heard, whether you see it, but you said you never knew him prior?
Kyle says JLR sounds like Gilbert Godfrey.
Did anyone ever say anything about him being around the house on the 25th, the 24th, or seen in the neighborhood or anywhere in the area prior to the
No, nobody's ever really mentioned him. The only person that's ever said anything about him coming home, like I said, nobody really ever paid attention.
Nobody paid attention. Okay.
Think, because even the neighbor that lives close by that I'm friends with, I asked her, like, did you ever see? She said, I never really paid attention because like he would come and go and they never were out really, and they had this camper.
They never paid attention, but they were never out either. Okay.
And the camper would leave and then it would come back. And then, he never
Kind of like when he goes to work.
came outside. And it's odd because Chris kept saying that.
But that kind of also debunks the whole previous fake neighbor who said that they were outside spraying him down with a pressure washer that they don't even own. Okay.
He would go outside and play and, all that kind of stuff. And she's like, I don't remember ever seeing him really outside playing. Like, there's no playground. They don't have a playground outside. They don't have a trampoline outside. Like, if you looked at their yard, you wouldn't even know. There's no bike. There's no like scooters. There's no basketballs. You wouldn't even know they have kids.
Guess what? Come around our house. There's no bikes. There's no scooters. There's no toys outside because it's called picking your shit up and taking care of your shit. You don't lay it in the front yard. You put it in the garage. You secure it so it lasts, so it doesn't get rusted with weather, things like that. Pretty common sense. You take care of your things, put them up. Pretty common.
There's nothing in their yard to play with. He's never outside. Like, he didn't go outside and play catch with his dad. Nothing.
Now, as you said, pitch black in the neighborhood.
He didn't go outside and play catch with his dad, but the neighbor that lives next door to them or close to them, who she's friends with, who knows when they actually became friends, but she never paid attention, but they know that they never went out and played catch with a ball. Okay, make it make sense.
Do you buy it where they're claiming that this kid walked out the front door and kind of did that neighborhood?
No, because everybody around the camera.
Would a kid go out at night and walk around out there at night alone?
I don't think so. I mean, unless their parents didn't. Now, we did have a ding dong ditch happen a couple years ago, but no. I mean, I've never experienced kids just randomly walking around the neighborhood. That's the thing about our neighborhood is it's so quiet. Like at night, literally, like in the summertime when my kids were younger. Sorry, my car shut off on me for something. My kids were younger. They would go outside and play like flashlight tag and stuff like that. And I had to get on to them like, okay, 10 o'clock, y'all need to be done because everybody's got to go to bed and whatever. Nobody ever gets like, you don't ever just see random kids walking around by themselves. I don't buy that at all. And I know that neighbors that are right around them said that there was nothing on their cameras.
Nothing. So no evidence whatsoever for that morning, 26, and not even the 25th, the night of the 25th. Wow. Do you think law enforcement...
He just vanished. He literally just vanished.
What's your theory? What do you think? What do you think happened? What's your theory? Based off you being a neighbor, based off you speaking to other neighbors, you're very close to the area, you've seen law enforcement over there. What do you think happened?
I have to be very careful with that one. I know there were some family issues, like there were some personal stuff going on within the family between Katie and Chris. Seth told us,
Bullshit. Calling it right there. Bullshit. You didn't know nothing about Chris and Katie because you don't know them. You just said that the neighbors don't know them. They never saw them. They kept to themselves. But now you're trying to convince us that you know that they were having issues. Bullshit. That was another lie concocted by Seth Rogers because Seth Rogers claims that was told to him. He spread it on a Facebook Live, or not Facebook Live, YouTube. But when confronted and asked if that's what he had told people previously, he deflected from the question too. We just went over that the other day.
That he was supposed to get full custody. One minute he says that Katie was okay with it. The next minute I'm hearing that Katie was not okay with it. I don't know their personal story. I know that.
And why are you speaking on it?
Neighbors are close by them, heard fighting within their family outside.
But the neighbors didn't know them and never saw anything from them. But now they heard fighting You mean the fake neighbor that came out that wasn't actually a neighbor to any of you and made up stories like that? Okay.
I had verbal things that were said outside. So I don't know that it was, I think there were some struggles within the family. I mean, every family has issues. I get that, but I don't know. Families typically would get into that kind of a dispute outside. I mean, if I was going to have a conflict of interest between my kids and I, or my husband and I, we would be inside. I wouldn't be outside making that known. And apparently there were some situations where things were heard that weren't good.
Bobby,
Apparently. So again, she doesn't know this to be fact, but apparently because of rumors on social media, another neighbor who runs a Facebook group runs off rumors and speculation as the basis of her story, and the internet is taking this as fact and running with it. Only thing good she did out of this was confirm Katie's story.
When did those fights occur? Do you know?
Over the past,
have a good night, Jason. And the other thing that I find it really ironic is she's admitting to people in their neighborhood, close proximity, stalking and harassing them, giving more support to why they would want to get the fuck out of that area when their own neighbors are acting like this and doing shit like this.
I guess since they've been there periodically, it wasn't like a one-time thing. There were other, times where things were said and that kind of thing. I don't live close enough to them to have heard that. I mean, they would have to have screamed at each other for me to have heard that. I didn't hear it, but I know that neighbors around them,
oh, Brittany's over there becoming a member,
have reported hearing things that were said.
Silver's on Scene. Silver's on Scene has been stalking Christopher Proudfoot at his RV park. Another JLR wannabe starting a channel stalking the family and the parents of a missing child
outside, and it wasn't like a one-time thing.
Any cops ever get called?
Well, I mean, CPS was called multiple times, and I know teachers personally that still work at Beach that were told things and they had to report it. I mean, when a teacher is told counsel,
if they told you that, that's a breach, and you didn't know that CPS was called. You had no clue that CPS was involved because first and foremost, Seth claims that he didn't even know. So how would you have known? You didn't. Again, you're taking shit you heard from social media and acting like you knew about it.
Counselors and teachers are told things, they by law have to report it.
No,
and I know that absolutely. And I know
everybody in the state of Tennessee is mandated reporters. Some state, it depends on your profession and what you do for a line of work. Some states, everybody is. Tennessee happens to be one of those states that everybody's a mandated reporter.
Know that, kids can be over exaggerating. I know that, especially teenagers, that kind of thing. I think for me, I think my kids would be respectful enough with us that if something happened, I don't think they would go and say, like, my mom is mean to me. Like, they know that's not true, and they would get in trouble for lying. So for him to make up that things that he was saying, I can't imagine him making certain things that were set up enough for CPS to be called on them. And I know they were called multiple times.
Multiple times. So when you say multiple, how many times?
I have no idea.
She knows that because of rumors on the Facebook groups and speculation and what the parents themselves have talked about. That's it. She don't have any other knowledge other than the rest of us, the same rumors and gossip that we've been hearing and what the parents have said about it.
I have no idea. I'm not privy to that information.
Has any neighbors or anybody tell you that they've seen the CPS at their house? Like,
I don't know. They have not actually used the words "I've seen them at the house," but they've told me that there have been people that have visited an official. Like, I don't know. Like, the car that comes is not going to have CPS written on it. Yeah. I mean, it may have a government official, like license plate or something like that, and they're not going to have they're going to have a badge on them as they go to the front door, but it's not going to be something that a neighbor is going to see, that kind of thing. So I don't know. Like, neighbors haven't said like I have seen this happen because they were really paying attention. I don't think it was one of those things where I don't think neighbors after this has happened, some of the neighbors are going back and saying, "Wait a minute, I remember this, and I do remember that, and I do remember this, and oh wow, this is like all connected." But
by the way, what's really funny is Betty did a whole 4-hour breakdown of this. And when it came to the night vision goggles and the heat infrared stuff that law enforcement was using, she thinks she was trying to tell her audience that it was Chris Proudfoot out there being paranoid and wandering through the woods with night vision goggles on. Betty, you're a dumbass. Law enforcement themselves have said that all the different technology that they used in the neighborhood. And if you listen to what even the PI said that Seth was associated with before, that law enforcement was out there running tests under the cover of darkness to see what the cameras would pick up and could pick up.
It happens over a year period of time, and it's just random, but then nothing really ever comes of it. You just kind of try to stay in your own lane and mind your own business, because you're not hearing, like, I don't know that neighbors heard screaming, or like, I don't know that it was like the things that were being said outside.
But you just said the neighbors heard screaming. You just said that the neighbors heard fighting.
Were loud enough to make neighbors call. I don't think it was that kind of like, if a neighbor next to me, I heard a kid screaming, help me, don't, whatever, I would be calling the police. Like, okay, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to call the police and be anonymous. It wasn't that kind of a thing. It was things that were said and arguments between them that made neighbors think, gosh,
But when you say that, are we talking Chris and Katie, or is Seth in the picture too? Is it like, were there arguments with Seth there?
I don't think Seth was ever there long enough. I think he was there long enough to pick Sebastian up for his weekend, or they would meet somewhere for his week.
Again, nothing firsthand here.
Or something like that. I don't think that Seth was ever there. I think it was mostly the one neighbor told me that she heard, and I'm not going to go into a lot of whole big detail because I don't want to get into their whole personal life. It's not my place. But a neighbor had told me that there were things that were said between, like, Chris and Katie would get into an argument, like in the driveway, and then Sebastian might come outside and Chris would raise.
But they didn't even know Sebastian existed. Which is it? There was no toys, no nothing. They never saw him. They didn't know he existed. But now they saw all these things.
His voice at him, either get inside, or what are you doing out here, or make comments to him like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And like I said, it wasn't like, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to beat your butt. It wasn't like such a horrible thing to make a neighbor call 911. It was just a very abrasive enough to, now that he's missing, they go back and think, oh,
so that's kind of like, that was the kind of what you were saying when the neighbors kind of put these pieces together after the fact.
Right. It's one of those things that you go back and look and think, oh, okay, so maybe there was something to that.
Or maybe a child was acting out of line and they were told to go back in the house. Like, could be pretty simple if that did happen, what the explanation to it is. And PTA Patty over here is just trying to make it into a whole other spin.
Didn't realize it.
Have you ever heard anything about the mattress in the garage?
I have, and I have not been able to confirm that. I did.
Are you fucking joking right now? The mattress that arrived after Sebastian went missing? The mattress that the fake neighbor from Crime, Lies, and Bullshittery, the fake neighbor that made up an entire story about that mattress.
Did hear that, and the neighbor next to them, when the garage door would come up for her to leave, they saw a mattress in the garage. And well, I mean, Chris admitted that there was a mattress in there. Now, he said it was for his daughter, so maybe, but why is it still in there? I don't know. No idea.
Why is it any of your business if they have a mattress in their fucking garage? You people are weird as fuck.
Yeah, they said on Nancy Grace that they got a new bed set after Sebastian missing. But then people are also that punishment. Did you? And I'm not talking
too.
Punishment aspect about Sebastian sleeping in the garage for punishment. Have you heard that?
I did hear that, but I can't confirm it because I had not talked to the neighbors that live next to them that were the ones that said that. I don't know for a fact.
Bullshit, ma'am. Because if it's the neighbors that live next to them, they don't exist. That fake neighbor that made up that story is not even valid. But look at this bullshit she's about to do here.
Like they said that. But my thing is, and again, I'm not trying to put anything blame on them at all because I don't know them, don't know anything about their personal story, have no idea. I can't confirm any of this, but I just know that
I can't confirm any of this, but I'm going to state it out here to over 6,000 people were in that live stream. Over 6,000 people.
I'm surprised that the mattress has been in the garage that long. I mean, if the mattress is for your child, wouldn't it have been put away or put in the, I mean, why is it still in the garage and not in the child's bedroom? And two, the daughter, Faith, I don't ever remember her being there. Like,
You didn't even know Sebastian existed, so how would you know about another child?
if she was there, I mean, maybe once, one summer. I mean, I'm just surprised that she would have a brand new mattress if she's not there very much. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she didn't even have a mattress, and that's the first one.
You spoke earlier about a silhouette and a light
Oh,
inside.
yeah.
The Talk a little bit about that, because some people were asking that in the chat. What's that all about?
Okay, so if I go back to day one and kind of rehash a little bit, trying to make this as short as possible, the neighbor close by that saw Katie out front on the way to taking her kids to school, she was the one that called me. Friends, I'm good friends with her. She's the one that actually called me and told me what was going on. And said that I said, well, what happened? And she said, well, I went and asked Katie what happened, and she said, and this is where the story gets totally misconstrued. I don't know. Again, third party. I'm hearing this from another third party source, so I trust this lady. She's a good friend of mine. There's no reason why she would lie. But she said, when Katie they had gotten home from Texas Roadhouse, took the trash out, so on and so forth. Sebastian was in his room. She was in the kitchen, I guess, getting, whatever done. And from her house, she's close enough to where she can see from the Ring camera, like the lights inside, because it's dark. So, I mean, if you have lights on, you can see it. And so she said that she could see the lights in the house around 10 or so. Then Katie told her that Sebastian was in her room. She was in the kitchen. She said, you need to go to bed. And he said, okay. And she goes in the living room and does whatever, watches TV. She says she was studying. I don't know, whatever, doesn't matter. She was in the living room for whatever reason. And she told my neighbor that she fell asleep. And
Say that again. You broke up. Say it again. You broke up.
This thunk. And she yelled across the house and said, Sebastian. And he said, yes, mom. And she said, are you okay? He said, yes, I'm fine. I'm good. Go to bed. And she said, okay. So
she's confirming the story that Katie has always said. That was what she told the neighbor also. Again, thank you for confirming that.
It's up, and my neighbor said you can actually see his light go off, her walking across the house, her light go off, and then a silhouette come up to the window for a minute. And then everything just goes black.
What time was that again? Because you cut out.
I'm sorry. I know my son was calling me. Okay, so she woke up around 11:30 is what she told my neighbor, that she woke up about 11:30, and apparently he was still up. But I find it odd, because my thought is, and again, none of my business, I just think, okay, put yourself in that position. If I have a child who's got special needs and I hear a thump, I'm going to walk into my child. No, let me put this.
I love all these perfect parents that are going to get up out of bed and go check. And
this way, my kids are all very healthy and normal. I'm very blessed to have very healthy kids. But if
oh, you fucking idiot. Did you really just do that? My kids are all healthy and normal. Are you freaking joking?
If it's 11 o'clock or 11:30 at night and my kid has to be up at 6 the next morning, I'm going to be in their room yelling at them and taking their electronics away and telling them, go to bed now. That I would be walking in my kid's room. Even where my kids are now, healthy and average children, whatever, no problems. If I heard a thunk, I'm probably still going to go in their room and ask, like, what in the world was that? I wouldn't just stay, but hey, maybe she trusts him. Maybe she thought it was no big deal. I don't know, whatever. But that's what she told my neighbor. And then she goes to bed.
11:30 though. That information is not really out there. We keep hearing 10 p.m. kind of deal. Put him to bed. Hear the thump. Are you okay? Good night. 10 p.m.
Right.
But this is what she told a neighbor.
That's right. That's right. And when I asked my neighbor, so she told me this Monday. And then when the sheriff's office came by our house to do the same door knocking thing and walking around and whatever, I asked the sheriff, I said, let me ask you a question. And he's like, what's that? And I said, I know early on investigation, they actually were talking to us. Like day 1 and 2, they were talking to us. So they were giving us information. They were telling us kind of what they were going to do and whatever. And then after about a week of it, they just shut down and never would talk again. The day that the TBI came in, that was it. No more discussion. It's shut down. We're not talking about it. You're just going to have to be in the dark. So, but this day 2, when the sheriff's office came in, no, I'm sorry, the state troopers came in. Still don't know why state troopers got there. Haven't figured that one out yet. I don't know why state troopers would be there. The state troopers came in. Actually, they came into my driveway because they were rinsing their shoes off. They had gone into the construction area and his boots were all muddy. And so he and my son were rinsing his shoes off. And I looked at him and I said, let me ask you a question. I said, he's like, what's that? And I said, if you'd fallen asleep in the living room and your kid walks out the front door, wouldn't you have heard that? And he was like, not only would I have heard that, but I would have jumped up with my gun in my hand to figure out who's coming in my house.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is, like, she falls asleep on the couch and her kid just walks out the door. But then when I asked my neighbor about that again, called her the next day, I'm like, okay, explain this to me. This is what you said. I don't understand that. And she said, oh, well, she woke up and then heard the thump and that kind of thing. So I don't know.
Oh my God, this is unbelievable. She was in bed. She got up off the couch and went to bed. Are they really trying to do this? This is just all bullshit. Every single thing has been rumors and speculation from the Facebook groups. And as you guys have all seen now, she admins for one that was started the very next day. She is PTA Patty.
Yeah, it's just, it goes with all that in the evening time. At the same time, like you said, no evidence that any neighbors or anyone seen that he actually returned home that day. And then we also have that those lights. It's just a mystery in a sense, because those mysteries. Someone asked it. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say those were not trash trucks.
I concur. But why did authorities?
So again, according to her post, law enforcement was doing everything amazing. But now she's discounting what law enforcement has said. Okay.
Say it doesn't have any evidentiary value.
I asked that when I called the lead detective, and I flat out told him that I know the neighbor. I've seen the video footage from the very beginning before it was edited. She told me with her own mouth, looking at it herself, there are two separate occasions, car, then truck. Why is that?
She's calling the lead investigator to tell him that they're wrong.
We've had it. He argued with me and told me that he had it broken down. The Secret Service looked at it and they confirmed that in fact it was a trash truck. And I said, I'm telling you, it was not. He said,
well, she's better than the TBI, the FBI, and the Secret Service. Lord have mercy. Just get PTA Patty on it. She solved the case.
I'm not going to say argue with you. I was like, okay.
Wow. Somebody said in the chat, any video footage of Katie searching for Sebastian that morning? Like, do they have any, since you have a neighbor that has a Ring camera, did any camera?
Oh, by the way, take note. She also doesn't have cameras. She told us that too. But everybody else has been making such a big deal out of Katie and Chris not having cameras, but she doesn't have cameras either.
Pick up Katie actually out there searching that morning before.
If she, oh, you mean before all the police got there?
Yeah.
So the neighbor that was leaving to go take her well, actually, the neighbor's camera did pick up her walking around her house.
Really? So she walked around her house?
Yeah, because in the neighbor, if you're looking to her house, the neighbor to the left of them, that the wife came out and was actually looking. There's like a little like a wood door underneath the house. What do you call that underneath the house? The crawl space. They actually opened that door and were looking in the crawl space together. And so they were looking. But as far as outside of the neighborhood, I've never seen them. And they've never, no, not that I'm aware of. I mean, I asked my kids, and my kids said they had never seen her, never seen him. They did see Seth was out there a couple of times with everybody. He was at the command post. I have a good friend.
But yet Seth claims that he got kicked out of the command center. Okay.
That was there in the command post, and she confirmed that he was at the command post. But I asked
her. But her good friend was there and confirmed that Seth was there. Did your good friend confirm that Seth's story about getting kicked out of the command center?
I said, did you see Katie or Chris or the Bowers Hawks? And she said, no, never saw any of them.
But they didn't know who any of those people were until they saw pictures of them on social media. Okay.
But then again, she said, but I mean, law enforcement did ask them to stay home in case he came home or called. So there's that.
Oh, but law enforcement asked them to go home. Oh.
Do you think law enforcement exhausted the whole area? Like, do you think they did a thorough search of the entire neighborhood and the streets along Long Hollow Pike and in the school? Do you think they?
Oh, yeah. I watched it with my own eyes. They were deep in. They were climbing in the trenches and looking in the sewage areas. And then they had dogs everywhere. They had drones everywhere. The question is, what are they doing with whatever evidence they collected? And what are they doing with the surveillance cameras? Because what I'm told that neighbors saw, they're denying.
They're denying.
Yes.
Wow. Why is that?
Exactly. I don't know. That was what I asked. I have no idea.
See, what I find interesting, Miss Bobby, is, you know, I was up there, a week and a half later, and then we were searching on that federal property, and there was a dog hit, and law enforcement didn't even go out there to look at all. It's as if they didn't even care that there could be.
Oh, bullshit, JLR. Shut up. JLR is he just gets excited about all this bullshit. He completely knows this is fabricated nonsense, and he just continues to go with it.
Think that they would look. It seems like they've already made up their mind or have a conclusion of what happened to Sebastian.
That is exactly how I have felt since the first week. literally the first week, within day. I mean, within, and a lot of people would get on Facebook and like, you know, belittle our neighborhood and yell at us like, why aren't you guys out looking? And why aren't you guys have signs? And why don't you have, if I was in that neighborhood, I would flood it with green. And yeah, but you haven't been violated, and you were a part of this where you had hundreds of cars a day driving up.
You haven't been violated. You haven't been violated. This bitch doesn't even have a missing child. Remember, quote, normal. Her kids are healthy and, quote, normal. But she feels violated because law enforcement has flooded the area looking for a missing child. Not hers, somebody else's.
And down and taking videos and pictures of your house and and stopping and asking you questions, and the news reporters being, you know, being out front of your house. And you know, you don't understand where we are, and we just want to just have some peace and some privacy. We are looking, we're out there, we're asking questions, we're talking to each other, we're on social media, we handing out flyers, you know, whatever. We're just not, why do we need a sign when we're in the neighborhood?
Oh yeah, Kimberly, we already passed that part. The girl obviously was posting shit on Facebook, but this PTA Patty, nobody should be shocked by this. I don't know if you just came in, but PTA Patty has been an admin of the group that Terry Lynn and Seth were promoting in his first interview since the day after Sebastian went missing. They had a whole Finding Sebastian Rogers group that she's been an admin for from the second day.
I mean, we live here, for heaven's sake. Why do we need a sign? You know, I mean, we know what's going on. You know, if you drive through here, you know this neighborhood belongs to him. Why do we need a sign to say look for him? But anyway, I feel like from the very beginning, it was a massive search effort. But I just don't understand what they did with, if they found anything, what they did with it. Why are they trying to act like the footage, you know, did they find anything on the footage? From what I'm being told from my neighbors that saw stuff on the footage, and I asked them and they want to deny it, they want to argue with me. Why are they? And then
because law enforcement said it has no evidentiary value.
TBI came and actually walked into my house, sitting in my living room couch, and interviewed me. And I told him what I had heard and whatever. And then after that, he gave me his card and said,
oh my God. Fucking dumbass right there. Look at her. She's constantly, I'm going to leave this alone. But if you're constantly asking your subs because you have emergencies, but you have all this money to send super chats to get your name on the screen during these live streams, yeah, leave it alone.
I promise you, I had 12 people every day for about 3 weeks from random places. I'm talking Canada, I'm talking UK, I'm talking Hawaii, Puerto Rico. They were trying to get into our private group. Why do you need to be in our private group? Why do you need to be in our neighborhood group?
Gotcha.
Just wanting to know stuff? I don't know. But I mean, we had just they were coming out of the woodworks trying to get a piece of the information. But
kind of like you starting a whole fucking Facebook group, a private Facebook group off of a missing child the day after he went missing.
They just shut down. And every time I would send the TBI agent, I sent the story about what happened to my son and I, and said I had it on, you know, video, whatever. And I said, do you want to see this? And, you know, he didn't even respond to me. He didn't even respond and say, I will let you know, hold on to that. Nothing. I didn't even get a response from him.
Weird.
I called.
It seems as if they already,
because law enforcement knows you're PTA Patty with the mission of being the nosy neighbor.
know something, and everything else in their mind is irrelevant. It's weird.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. I can't prove it. I mean, I don't know for sure, but that's how I feel. And that's what a lot of us feel like. I mean, a lot of us feel like I had 4 or 5 of my neighbors come over to my house one day, and we sat in my house and talking about all this and kind of sharing stories and stuff of what they.
Oh, the gossip group got together. Oh, the gossip group. They had Bible study. I mean, more like bitching about the fact that there's neighbors that have a missing child and their neighborhood has been flooded. But they had a gossip group about it.
If we feel, and we all feel like something is going on, something isn't right.
Miss Bobby, somebody in the chat asked if when you had that neighborhood vigil for Sebastian, were the prophets invited?
Oh yeah, it was all over our Facebook page.
So they knew.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if they were in the, yeah, and we had planned it a week before. So it's not like it was last minute, throw it together. It was, a matter of fact, one of the neighbors that helped me organize it, she actually had posted it on her profile, like just on her as a posting, and just said, I'd love to have a vigil. Let me know if anybody is doing one. And I messaged her and said, hey, why don't we do this in our neighborhood? That way the family can come as well, and it can just be our private neighbors. And she's like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. So I put it on the Facebook page as a post. I tagged her in it, and I said, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is where we're going to be. And then several people posted asking what time.
So instead of going to the parents of the missing child, asking if the date and time would work, and if that's something that they would like to have because their child is missing, they did it without any consent or communication with the family of the missing child. They just did it on their own. Okay. All right.
Kind of kept going back and forth about what day, what time, and whatever. So did we go to their door and knock on their door and personally invite them? No, but we didn't do that with anybody. And we had a big group show up.
And they would have, they know.
They didn't even go invite them personally. But they expect them to be watching Facebook groups for Facebook. Oh my God.
They knew one was existing. Instead, you said they brought 2 representatives, family members.
That's the other thing is, that's the other thing is, for a fact they knew because they sent the family.
Moose Nut, I don't even know who you are. I ain't making you a mod.
Yeah. What did the family say? Like the people that you said that came, uncle and aunt, right? Uncle and aunt, they said?
Yes.
What did they say anything? Did they talk? They
didn't really talk much. They just kind of stood there and listened to us, introduce ourselves. And we went around the circle, was quite a big circle. We went around the circle and everybody, said their prayer and whatever. And then afterwards, we just kind of said, hey, do you guys need anything? And we said, do you need food? Can we set up a food train for you? Or, is there, do you need anything? And they both said, oh, we've got a lot of support. We're good. We're fine. Don't worry about us. We're good. We got plenty of support.
Plenty of support. So they do have support. Shocking.
Does somebody asked in the chat, does the Proudfoots have security? Did the neighbor, did you guys know if they had, because Katie worked at Brinks, right? Or Brinks security system?
That was the very first thing I asked my neighbor when she told me that Sebastian is on the spectrum. And I said, hold on a minute. Doesn't she work for Brinks? And she said, yes. And I said, she has a special
Moose Nut, are you PTA Patty coming in here?
needs child. She works for Brinks. Does she not have security or locks or some kind of like a safety, something to keep him from coming out? And she said, not that I'm aware of. Now, the people before them, I do not believe they had security. They were elderly couple, so I don't even know if they cared. But apparently they didn't, because then Brinks came afterwards and installed. And I know that for a fact because she called me and said, well, they're getting security now. And I think Chris said that was because they felt like they were being threatened and all that kind of stuff, which I can't prove or deny, whatever. That's up to them.
She can't prove or deny, but she was a part of that. Okay.
That's their business. But from what I understand, they did not have anything before that.
Wow.
So, interesting. Very, very interesting. Has the Proudfoots been back at their home? Like, are they there?
She has been. I think she went back to work because she's been home and her van comes and goes. I think Chris came in one weekend.
Wow. Are you fucking kidding me?
I don't know, but I've kind of just stopped. Like I would drive by once every, like maybe once a week just to see, if they were there, because they were there. And it was just like, and Katie's right. I heard her say that they were trying to leave to kind of give us a break because we were getting overwhelmed. We were all getting very upset and very overwhelmed.
Oh, wait. Katie was right. They were getting overwhelmed. So they did leave.
Well, with all the traffic and stuff. And, I do appreciate her saying for recognizing that. However,
so they left because they were getting harassment and threats, and the neighbors were glad because it kind of calmed things down. Wow. It's all about you. Meanwhile, she hasn't said anything even remotely concerning about Sebastian being missing. It's all about her and her needs, though, and her security, right?
I was really shocked because I felt like that if my kid was missing, I don't want to say I would handle it differently because I don't ever want to be put in that situation, and I don't want to make karma come after me. But I can't imagine leaving my house if my child was missing.
You can't imagine leaving your house, but you know that they were being harassed. You've admitted that people were driving by, that it was chaos in the neighborhood. You know all that. You were partaking in it. You're an admin of Seth's promoted Terry Lynn Facebook group from the day after he went missing that has been filled with nothing but speculations and bullshit. You've been you fucking clown. But you can't understand why they left, but you're thankful that they did. You're thankful that Katie acknowledged the stress that it was put. Fuck.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's been called out by that. I mean, she's claiming that she
Yeah.
can't wait for him to come into the door, Bubba, and
Right. But I'm not her.
Over to
I'm not
Mississippi.
her, and I can't. I'm not going to say that she did the wrong thing because I have no business saying that. I'm just surprised. I do appreciate the fact that she did recognize that we were getting overwhelmed with traffic and whatnot.
We were getting overwhelmed with traffic and whatnot. Oh, poor you. Poor you. How horrible for you to be inconvenienced that a public street out front of your fucking house has traffic on it.
So I do appreciate that, but and we were, but I would just think that, you know, maybe Chris goes back to work and she stays there just in case. But you know, everybody handles things differently, and if that's what she felt like she needed to do, then you know, who am I to judge that?
But they have
Meanwhile, judging that, it's all right. We see where you're aligned. It's very clear.
haven't, since this incident happened, they really don't come out at all, interact with anybody that you know of.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've seen them interact with a neighbor very close to them a couple of times, be out talking to one of the neighbors, but I have not seen them out talking to anybody else.
There's rumors that
She only drives by once a week.
there's rumors that they might be moving. You know anything about that? Have you heard? Is there?
I've heard that so many times, and there's no confirmation of that.
It's zero truth behind that. There has never been the house is up for sale or anything. That's crock of shit.
Interesting.
I've asked.
I mean, I can tell you one. I would want to get the fuck out of that neighborhood with PTA Patty and the fucking gossip circle going around.
We have a couple of realtors in our neighborhood, and I've asked them, and they've not. It's like I have not heard any confirmation of that.
Has one more thing? Has the detectives or authorities ever go back to their house, like in certain time, like maybe like a week or 2 weeks after Sebastian went missing? Have they ever that you know of returned to the home?
Oh yeah, they came back. What was it, week 2 or 3? They came back and basically started it all over again. Started the searching all over again, and they also reenacted the whole scene. And they started at like 10 o'clock Sunday night ish. Was it something like that? Sunday night, going into the early next morning to see if they could kind of like retrace each one of the steps and everything that happened.
Type of deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting, but nothing seems like got their evidence and got something out of that possibly.
If they did, they're not telling us.
They're not. How's the neighborhood now?
I wouldn't tell you either. I wouldn't tell you shit. No wonder why they don't return your calls.
I think it's getting better. I mean, I'm noticing a lot of neighbors are getting out more and walking dogs again and talking. And I think people think that we're all like huddled together talking about everything that's going on.
You just admitted to having numerous people over a gossip session at your house.
And it's not like that at all. I think we're all.
But you just admitted to doing that very thing.
Just trying to stay out of it, trying to stay
out of it. Meanwhile, she admins a freaking Facebook group.
Give them their space and kind of stay.
And I'm not talking their neighborhood Facebook group. She admins the Finding Sebastian Rogers Facebook group.
Away from everything. And we just don't, I know for me, I don't want to get into their personal business. I just don't want to be that neighbor that's all like super nosy and thinks that she knows everything, because I don't.
But that's what you've been doing the entire time.
I don't know what happened. I don't understand. This kid did not just vanish. He just didn't vanish.
No shit, Sherlock.
But does any neighbors think it was a kidnapping or like think their children are in danger?
So that was the very first thing I asked on Wednesday when TBI came and sat down with me and talked to me. And I looked at her, I said, I get that you guys are being super quiet about this because it is still an investigation. However, if this kid was kidnapped, don't you think you might want to tell us so that we can kind of lock our kids up and, you know, be safe or whatever? And she, instead of her, and I guess is, you know, again, part of the investigation, she said, well, you should always do that.
That's interesting. Yeah, they have a responsibility. I mean, if one of their theories is Sebastian got kidnapped, and they never said Sebastian was kidnapped.
But there was there were no cars that came up their street and then left up their street and left. The only car that was ever seen was the one that was on Kellen, that parked on the corner of Stafford and Kellen for about 3 or 5 minutes, where the flashlights came towards it.
Oh, lady. But yet law enforcement has debunked that already. That's already been debunked. And it's in this article right here. Again, you can go look at the WKRN article. Please do. Y'all, this is already, this lady, this is embarrassing. Fucking embarrassing, Booby Bobby. PTA Patty. Gossipy Gertrude.
Backed up and left. and then the trash truck, and then Katie's SUV, and then the police, or then the school bus, and then the police. So there was no other car that ever drove up Stafford.
Was it a car that the lights
That
went
was-
to? Or like an SUV or a car? Like what
That's leading JLR.
type of vehicle was it?
I don't know. I don't remember. Just they
She doesn't remember that part of the story that the rumor went around about. Come on, JLR's even trying to give you hints here to remember the rumor about the SUV because Kathy Bowersox drives an SUV and that's what they try to do, even though there's been zero proof of any of that happening. In fact, it's been debunked.
the words that where I was told was unidentified car. I don't know if it was an SUV or a car or what. That was just what I was told. It was an unidentified car. And that was another thing is when I asked the lead detective, I said, this car that was on Kellen, he was like, yeah,
Conchosaurus Karen.
we already figured that out. That was an Uber. And I was like, no, the Uber was a neighbor on Devon that ordered an Uber about 5:30 to go to the airport. I know that. But the car why would a car sit on Kellen if they were going up the street to get the customer to leave? I mean, you don't
Moody Melinda.
sit there.
Coincidentally, at the same time, lights are flashing around the time.
Well, at that same time, the trash truck would have been through there.
Confused Conchosaurus.
So
Yeah.
you wouldn't have gotten that confused. Why would a car be sitting on a road like around 3:30, 4 o'clock Monday morning? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, one thing
Doesn't make any sense. Shelley.
I say, and it's the truth, the law enforcement is not obligated to tell the public the truth.
That's true.
We have
Lion Linda.
law enforcement the truth if we're being interrogated or questioned or whatnot, in a sense, because you could be, charged with lying, but they're not under
Homely Heckler.
any legal obligation. I mean, morally, you would think they would tell the truth, but they don't legally.
I gave up. Sorry, guys. I gave up on this interview. This is a fucking disaster. Like, what the fuck is she doing? What are you doing? Conchosaurus Karen. PTA Patty. Like, what are you doing here? Fucking gossipy Gertrude.
Have to. They can lie to the public, and they do. So maybe they're keeping things
Hearsay heifer. That might be my favorite one so far, Miss W. That might be my favorite one so far. Jennifer,
close to the vest.
you're going to need it.
I was just really surprised how I felt like he got a little bit defensive with me when I mentioned that I was a neighbor and talking to the neighbors about their surveillance. Because my thought is this, if you were to ask an officer a direct question.
Can you imagine being in that fucking head of hers and trying to parse through these thoughts of hers? If we are getting any display of what thoughts in her head are like, that's a scary that's like a black hole.
If he can't discuss it, instead of arguing with me, the response should have been, I can't confirm or deny that. I can't discuss that. We're still in investigation. Instead of him flat out lying about or, defending it.
Attention seeking Annie.
And arguing with me. Why didn't he just say, well, that's still part of the investigation. I can't comment on that. And I would have simply said, okay, you're right. I understand.
Bullshitting Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. Integrity of the investigation. No comment.
That's what I would have done. I mean, that's usually what they do. Why?
Dumbass Dora.
They argue with me and try to convince me otherwise. It's like he was trying to convince me. Leave that alone. Stop talking about it. That's not part of
Exaggerating Elizabeth.
this.
Got you, Bobby. Is there anything else you would like to add that I didn't ask, or anything that you want to put out there that the public should know that we forgot?
That we forgot. JLR, did you have all this set up right here? I mean, say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. That we forgot we were going to talk about today? With Freak Show Franny? I'm going to hell. But at least I'm not going to have to deal with Conchosaurus Karen.
I think so. I mean, I think we pretty much covered everything. I just know that, we want this resolved as badly as anybody does. I would love just for this to be over and him to come home. But I would just
love for this to be over and him to come home. Ma'am, are you fucking okay? Are you okay? Yapping Yanny.
just wish people would, around social media just got really nasty and ugly and started attacking us. One of our neighbors, I will say this, one of the neighbors that live close by, they got the whole rumor about Katie having an affair with a neighbor. What started that?
Oh, thank you for proving it's not true.
So that's not true. I saw that circulate.
Where in the world? Not only that, but one of the neighbors
Tattletale Tina.
precious, sweet family. I know them personally. They are a great family. They got so attacked by this rumor that their kids started being bullied at school, saying that your parents are the ones that were swingers, started being called swingers. They started getting phone calls from people all over the country claiming that they were swingers.
Yeah,
It
that
got
rumor
so bad.
not true at all about
Not
Katie,
that I know.
Just a swinging.
No,
neighbor. Yeah,
not
that was
that I'm aware of.
and so then so that neighbor was
She's really disturbed by the thought of somebody being swingers. Oh, sorry, Tina, not you. If anybody has these names that I'm rattling off in here, please don't take it personally. I'm not even looking at your names. I'm on the other side. I'm not even paying attention. I'm just yapping away in here. Sorry, I came back over and Tina, I see. Hey, now. Sorry, this is where my mental capacity is. It's 0. Okay.
getting harassed then, huh?
Bad. It was really bad. People just
I guess we could just call her Brittany. That would probably be the worst insult I could give anybody, right? And not to miss Brittany or anybody else with that name in here, but I just don't like those people.
get so. I mean, I know that they want answers. I know everybody is just really wants answers. I mean, heavens, we want answers. You know, we're living in the middle of this. We want answers. We want all this to go away. We want the truth to be found. You know, we want this to just be solved and be done with. But
Yeah, because they don't want to have to deal with it anymore. Mind you, there's actually a missing child. That should be the concern, but she don't care about that.
making things up and you know, coming to your own conclusion because you don't have an answer is not
Coming to your own conclusions because you don't have an answer
helping us at all.
It's not helping us. Us, we, us, me. Isn't it ironic that fucking nosy Nelly here has some piece of this whole thing? Oh, what in the world? Jabber and Jabba the Hutt.
It's not helping the family, and I'm not here by any means to defend Chris and Katie by any means. I don't know them. I don't know anything about them to defend them. I'm just saying that.
Well, ironically, you kind of confirmed Katie's stories, though, unintentionally. I think that backfired on JLR.
Making up stuff is only hurting our neighborhood because now you've got people who are harassing us and
Jonathan's Jagaloon.
Neighbors wanting information and that kind of thing and driving her all around. Now that the driving through
she admits to driving by their house, but now she's bothered by other people driving by oh my God.
neighborhood has calmed down immensely, so that's good.
That would be driving like just regular like YouTubers, curiosity seekers, just crime tours. Sometimes there's crime tours out
well,
there.
I mean, there were at the beginning there were a lot of YouTubers that were coming through the neighborhood and they would stop and get out of their
kind of like JLR, CJ, Dolly Vision, that whole group. JLR would know. You would know. You've been talking to him for quite a while, haven't you? Bullshitting Bobby.
Car and walk up and down the street, videoing, taking pictures and whatever. And it was like a huge invasion of privacy. There's nothing we can do about it because it's a public street. I get that, but have some respect. And then just local people, I guess, feeling like the police weren't doing enough, so they were going to go out themselves and drive, and they would just drive up and around and just drive around over like up and down around the hill and that kind of thing.
Over the river and through the woods to Bobby's house we go. She don't know the way to stay in her lane.
That pretty much calmed down.
Yes, that's almost stopped. But we had 2 neighbors that were trying to sell their house, and neither one of them can sell it.
Oh, really?
Nope. They both took them off the market because they were getting too many.
So 2 people tried to sell their home after this incident happened, and they can't sell it.
Actually, one family actually had their house on the market before this happened, and then when this happened, their realtor just told them to take it off the market because they were getting more phone calls just being nosy than they were legitimately asking about the house.
Oh, wow.
And then the other neighbor on the other cul-de-sac actually put their house on the market. Right.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? So we have a missing child and people are worried about what is happening. Yeah, probably jaded. This is unbelievable. I can't believe people are falling for this shit.
Afterwards.
Or even giving it any amount of like credence to this. The only thing she has done is confirmed Katie's story, confirmed that they've been harassed and stalked, confirmed that the neighbors in the neighborhood are complete fucking fools. This one, again.
And then it took it off.
See, these are things people don't know about. It's interesting, because it might be devaluing the neighborhood, or people might like, hey, I don't want to move to a neighborhood where a child went missing and is still missing. It has a lot of affects people, than not just the Proudfoots and Seth Rogers, but the whole neighborhood in general. It causes some bad things to happen with everyone. And man, I'm sorry that's happened.
You're so sorry, JLR, huh? You're so sorry. But give you an opportunity, you'd be out there causing chaos in their neighborhood without even a second. Oh, wait, you were doing that. You were. Jolly was flying drones over their house. Oh. Fucking. I cannot understand how people can even give this man any amount of grace, dignity, think he's changed. This is the ultimate troll for him. He has Facebook groups set up for this shit that he switches the names of for each new headline topic. He is still currently harassing creators on YouTube.
I don't think anybody is going to be able to go anywhere until this is resolved, because I don't know
Look at
anybody
you,
that would want to
Lorraine.
move into all this. Why would you want to move into a neighborhood where a kid just vanishes?
Exactly, because there's the type
It's
of neighborhood
scary.
where you want to have a family, build your dreams, career, raise your children, and
Safely and securely.
Have a bite.
yes. And I mean, I've been there. I've been in the area. Those homes are beautiful. I mean, I would love to have a dream house like that. Like it's nice. And
Yeah.
just can't imagine, like just a neighborhood that's never seen probably any crime.
Whoa! I almost dropped it in the lap. You guys, hold on. Kyle got cheesecake again, so don't worry. He is fed.
Right.
I got it on my face too. I really look rough tonight.
Ever. There's no
So-
crime in the neighborhood, right?
We had one incident many years ago that was resolved in one day, over and done with, and never had anything else. I mean, this is the kind of neighborhood that, like I said, I mean, my twins were born in that house, and when they were little, I didn't let them go out by themselves, but I would feel comfortable with them going outside in the yard, as long as it was like, just don't get in the street, because we live on the main road, and you'd have the big trucks and you have the school bus and that kind of thing coming through.
JLR is the pinnacle of crime investigation. Oh my God, you people are fucking delusional.
I'll just say stay in the yard, but I didn't have to worry about somebody coming up and grabbing them. I just never felt that. I never feared that. I mean, I knew my neighbors, my family all lived in the neighborhood with me. I mean, my parents lived there. My brother and sister used to live there. We all lived there together, and my kids would walk in between the yards to her house, and her kids would walk in between the yard to my house. My kids would go up the corner and play basketball with the neighbor kids, and they would all ride bikes around, and you just never worried about anybody coming in and doing anything.
But now people are kind of worried.
I don't ever, I mean, I'm not seeing kids out playing like they used to be.
It's sad, because kids need to get out a little bit and enjoy the fresh air and the great outdoors, the outdoors in their yard and stuff. It's just so sad. Hopefully this young man gets found and your neighborhood could get back to normal, a sense of normalcy. I know everyone is
poor you people, poor you.
a little bit on edge still, pins and needles, but really appreciate you coming on and providing insight. Everyone is very grateful. People in the chat, if you got some questions for Bobby, just leave in the chat and I'll talk to you offline and maybe you can answer some of the questions. But I really appreciate you coming on. And we really never really heard from a neighbor really coming on the record speaking about it. And sorry you had to go through this, man.
Thanks for confirming that the first neighbor was full of shit. Anyways, y'all heard what you needed to hear.
And I met your
I think we all just were trying to be quiet.
I met your children when I was out there. You got the coolest sons out there. Tell them I said.
Oh, isn't that ironic? I told you she's been chatting with JLR.
I told them they're in there watching.
I'm not going to say their names, but I know their names. But just tell them, they're cool. You raised them very, very well, and thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. They're actually up there watching the game, and I said I gotta go to my car and sit in the car and I go talk to JLR. Oh my gosh, you're gonna be on JLR. I was like, yes.
Thank you.
So
everyone appreciates it, Bobby. Thank you, and we're praying for Sebastian for sure. Stay safe.
Yes.
Coming on. We'll talk soon.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Hey, Bobby. Have a good day.
Okay, bullshit and Bobby is off the screen.
Thank God.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody need me to debunk anything that she said? Is there any specific thing that you're confused by? Exactly, like he's fucking famous. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. JLR was out there. He met the kids. Yeah. Anybody have questions? If you do, let me know because I will absolutely use the articles to debunk this shit. Law enforcement has already cleared most of this shit up. She confirmed Katie and many things that Katie said. She also made it all about her, poor her, poor her. Yep. Then she goes on Terry Lynn's after this too. I know, Roxanne, he is over it. He's like, you lost brain cells. Yep. He ain't only been here 10 minutes. That was funny. I think so too, Napa Valley. They do, little mama. They suck. Show us the cake. It's gone, bitch Franklin. He's ate half of a cheesecake already tonight. And don't worry, his lunch is packed for tomorrow. And his fruit packages are packed. And he was made dinner. All of the things. Wait, all you got to say is, oh, yeah. Well, this, for those of you that weren't here in the beginning or might have missed what I said, all you got was Seth's truck was there for a week. He was there, I know, for the first 3 days, he said. Karma, I haven't watched it on Terry Lynn's yet. Terry Lynn and her knew each other. So she admins for, let me tell you guys the name of it again. She admins for the Facebook group Finding Sebastian Rogers, No Speculation or Theories on Facebook, 10.4K members. She has been an admin of that group since the day after Sebastian went missing. She promoted it on her Facebook. I showed that in the beginning. So she has been connected to Seth's side. This is the group that Seth and Terry Lynn promoted during that 5-hour interview that we watched. And I went and clicked on. You can go watch me do that. The group that they start dropping while Seth's on panel, you can go watch. And he calls these people when he was talking about it. Karen's in there too, that Karen lady that was out searching, which I think she's decent. I don't know. But he calls them, what did he call them? He didn't say they were a team. He refers to them, I'll have to go look and get the exact term, but it's not advocates that he used. He said something about those were basically his people. Yeah, I hope not. I hope there better not be. Is that why it stopped at the pond? Tracy, there's still so much information about the hit on the pond. Have you listened to the dispatch audio? I'm sure you have. But there's so much confusion around that dispatch audio and the dog hits. And people have tried to like twist and turn it. I guess it depends on what people believe about. Yeah, her name is Bobby. Yep. Well, she promoted that group. Hold on. Let me show you again. I'll turn my camera on and show you guys again. Hold on. If you go to Finding Sebastian Rogers on Facebook, okay, let me show you guys this again. Sorry. Okay. So you go to Finding Sebastian Rogers, right? You click right up here where it says 10K. You go to join the group, right? Okay, you go down and you see admins and moderators right there. Click right there. She's the top one. Then it takes you to her Facebook profile, which I'm not doxing her because she doxed herself. But if you go over here, on February 27th, Miss Bobby shared that private Facebook group. And she also shares the post that she talked about in the beginning of this too. Any questions? Sorry, guys. Yes, we can go. Bobby's Battalion. Definitely biased, yes. It's crazy. Mother Maya. Bobby is a blubbermouth. Oh, Bobby. Oh yeah, Genevieve. That's why I tried to post about it last night. A lot of people don't understand what I'm saying about that. So I wanted to walk that through because she's connected to Seth. And that's in part 3 of my timeline videos. If you go to part 3, it's the 3rd part of the Terry Lynn's interview. In that, I do the exact same thing. When they promote it, I go right to their chat, click on the link, it pulls it up. I show it all. What species? I don't know. I do too, Roxanne. I personally believe that that's a very interesting. Hey, Freeside. Jamal had a question. Let me go up and look. Right? The deflection is crazy, huh? Oh, Steph, have you seen Jessica Daniels' breakdown of the dispatch audio? She did an incredible job with that. We can listen to that sometime if you'd like. Let me see. Where is Jamal's question? Yes, can you share your opinion why she wouldn't want Sebastian's name in the neighborhood? It irked me bad. I can't understand why she wouldn't, but you can tell by the entire thing it's all about her and concern for her and poor her, even though it's ridiculous. Extremely selfish. Wait, Sheila, what? She's legally blind? Well, good thing you don't even have to do Facebook cats bark or don't bark. I got it for you. I showed you guys, so sounds like she tried to talk to Ellie, but they shut that down too. Yeah, right. Exactly. Good night, everybody. Okay, you can see Whiskey tomorrow. Oh, Jennifer, you're fine. I haven't seen anything. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Thanks, Anne. Everything is damn. Yeah, it's just crazy, y'all. It's the entire thing. Wow, I didn't know that, Sheila. That's crazy. I'm not shocked, though. Hey, leave it to Bieber. Right? Well, it's a karma. It's private. The irony of that group is it's a private Facebook group that was started the day after he went missing. Tell me that's not fishy. If you're doing it for awareness purposes, wouldn't you bring it public so all eyes could get on it?
Good night, Janice.
I don't know. Mrs. Sassy, that's absolutely the narrative that they've been trying to push, though, that all this stuff happened. That's why they're doing this, like arguing about the cameras and shit. They're trying to put doubt in law enforcement for sure. Yep, Liz, they are. Yep, Chris and Katie are doing what law enforcement instructs. I wish Seth could do the same. It would have probably kept him out of a lot of bullshit. It's a gossip page. Yep. Gonna go shove ice picks in your ears. Facebook is terrible. Yep, absolutely it is. I have a huge page on Facebook and I never even use it. Meg, in part 3, I detail who all of the admins are. Absolutely, Linda. I'm sure the stories you could tell would be crazy. Okay, y'all, I am out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night. I promised you guys we would do this. It's late now. It's way past my bedtime. I will see you guys probably on Wednesday. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out here. It's getting crazier by the day. But just remember, usually when people come out like this, you can connect these people to somebody else. And if they're not fake fully, there's a lot of holes in their stories. So please take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Good night, y'all.
Good night, everyone.